What's up, guys? Welcome to the PPL. It's Friday today. Of course, you know what that means. That means we're going to have some super awesome matches. And, of course, it's Paladins Premier League Day. We got Kanga versus Pittsburgh Knights. We've got SSG versus Not As Vincere. Except, of course, guys, I'm not here alone on the desk. Kresnik, welcome to the show.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, man. It's been a
Of
while.
course, yeah. Because this is my studio. And,
Long-time viewer, first-time guest, and I'm really excited to be able to be
glad to
here
have
and
you
help
here,
everybody get to see these PPL games.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm very, very glad to have you here, man. I'm glad for all the fan mail it was. You said, I'm glad we were finally able to get you on the desk.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute, but the grind paid off.
Yeah. In this case, though, guys, once again, welcome. Happy Friday. I'm excited to see, of course, this first match. And a little bit yesterday, what we saw before, is that SSG ends up taking both of their games. They took it over Envy. They took it over Kanga too. And I guess they are sort of the hot topic today, in a sense.
Yeah, I guess coming back from a pretty decent loss streak after the long break of not being able to scrim, finally kind of coming back into their own, figuring out what kind of team they want to be in this meta. And on the other side of it, we have Knights versus Kanga. That's going to be the other matchup we see today. Two teams that took kind of tough losses, I would say, or because of different reasons, one being a 4-0, one being such a close game at the last second. And that's going to be what we're looking at first in general.
Right. Yeah, we're going to take a look at the standings real quick to see, once again, where everyone is placed currently. Not As Vincere, of course, they're number one now. Took it over NIP, who was in second. VP is third. Envy, fourth. SSG right under Envy. Kanga is in sixth. Seventh and eighth are Pittsburgh Knights and Renegades, respectively.
And this is a big matchup for the Kanga Knights. I think this will actually decide that 6-7 seeding. SSG fighting their way back to that 11-11 even if now they do have a negative map differential. But this is really big for deciding that seeding heading in beyond this, depending on how the rest of the matches go. But setting that tone for who they're going to be playing once we head into that qualifier bracket.
Right, exactly. I mean, once again, though, we have to, of course, talk about the games that are happening today. Kanga is a very, very interesting team. The reason why I say interesting is because they always start out strong. I don't know if I'm going to get destroyed for saying this, but they always start out strong, but they have such a hard time closing sets out. And we saw evidence of that yesterday when they played SSG. They had a 2-0 lead already. Then it was SSG. However, Chronix yesterday stayed consistent most of the time through that.
That's been a big part of things for Chronix, honestly. He started kind of inconsistent at the beginning of this season and never really living up to the performance he had at the World Championship before. Right. That was on support, to be fair, but he never really had that level of performance. And I feel like recently he's kind of been there across the board, that they've been almost prioritizing things for him, getting him Strix, getting him this Leon, Lex in some cases, just anything that he can kind of really just set the tone of the game on. They want him to just walk in, make room for Evil Eye, get every single kill, because he's, I think, been the star player for me for Kanga.
Yeah, I mean, every single game it was that we saw him in yesterday, whether Kanga won, whether they lost, regardless of whatever the situation was, Chronix always came out on top, or at least not necessarily always in some of his duels, but he always brought the damage. He always had the kills. The slash lines were always looking pretty good. There was never a time where I felt like he was falling behind what the other DPSs were doing, and he's an exemplary player for that.
And someone who's swapping roles too. I mean, moving from support at the World Championships to this, we've seen players swap roles and do really well. I mean, Lazy's one of them, DPS to point tank. I think this is another one of the very few moments that someone swapped and been a star player on that move. Some people have swapped and been all right, not been a detriment to their team, but Chronix is definitely, I think, pulling that team forward in some of these more grindy matchups they've had.
Right. I mean, of course, you mentioned it before. He's a very, very flexible player, except I feel like, of course, the DPS role now is fitting him extremely well. He was doing fine on support, too. Yeah. I did a little bit of research about that previously, so I was aware of the fact that he had a support role a little bit before, coming into this PPL split. In this case, though, I mean, I'm really excited to see how he's going to perform today, see if Kanga learned from their losses from yesterday. And on the flip side of that, we got to see if PK learned from yesterday, too. Their match was a little bit heartbreaking. I mean, they worked really, really hard to be able to get to where it was that they did, and then they just got clean sweep yesterday.
I mean, they were putting up a fight as it was starting. I think things kind of just fell apart as time went on. But they didn't look bad at all, I feel. Some of their decision-making on the maps were pretty good. Speaking of matchups, we were just talking about Chronix. Ricotta, I think, on the other side, they're kind of similar in terms of how they want to be picking champions.
Exactly.
I think the champion pool for Chronix and Ricotta, pretty similar. Although I don't know if we've seen Chronix's Bomb King. We've definitely seen BKTA before.
Right.
But not anytime recent. But the roles that they play for their team in terms of being kind of a rock and always putting up a decent performance is going to be key in this matchup between the two teams.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday we saw him do, of course, similar to the praises it was we were giving Chronix a little bit. I mean, he was pretty consistent all around, too. We saw him be put on the Victor, and Ricotta just knows what he needs to do. And I'm glad you brought up the point that they have similar champion pools, because they do. You see a lot of Leon coming out from Chronix. We've seen him sort of flex onto the Victor. You're right, we haven't seen the BK from him. But the thing is,
not
is
recently.
that, well, yeah, not recently in this case. But at the same time, it will be interesting to see how both teams are going to come into this matchup, because they sort of have to prioritize a little bit around their DPS players because of how well and consistent it is that they end up doing.
And it's also two teams that I think have creative drafts on that end too. I mean, Kanga, we've seen a lot of weird things coming out of them in general, and Knights aren't afraid to pull out some different picks too. I mean, they were kind of the first, I guess, the Mavericks of term in this meta. They just pulled out Xin yesterday. That struggled a little bit. I saw the potential, just didn't really play around it. But all these different maps in the game, a lot of different unique strategies that can be pulled out by both these teams.
A lot of maps, however, you got to get rid of some of them. Ice Mines Bazaar already, well, voice crack, that was weird. Ice Mines Bazaar already gone off of the board. Splitstone Quarry and Fish Market are out of the pool as well, which is interesting. Fish Market, people naturally don't like it anyway, but they get rid of it this time. Game 1, though, we're heading into Warder's Gate.
I just had to turn around and make sure that, it is Kanga's first pick. Of course, we're going to Warder's Gate. Definitely a map that they have been prioritizing since Phase 1. No changes for them means it's still going to be a good map no matter what. Permaban Willow, something that Simsaloo said yesterday, and something Kanga seems to be taking to heart, taking her off the board. And I'm gonna shot in the dark.
Okay.
I'm going to be throwing the ski ball, and even it doesn't matter where it hits because it's going to be right. I think Atlas Makoa might be the bans for Knights.
Ooh, Kresnik, I don't know about that,
it's
man.
It's a bold claim.
Very bold claim to insist that two of the strongest potential off-tanks, or at least frontliners, in the game would get banned. I don't know, Kresnik. If you're right, you're right. But, I mean, come on, man. Willow Khan.
If anyone's gonna just give up Makoa, it might be Knights. I mean, maybe they have something in mind. I trust Simsaloo if he does want to do that, but if you've already banned Atlas, you really don't want to give up the other option in that slot. You know, banning Atlas kind of does lock you into either we give up Makoa or we have some crazy counterplay.
Right.
You know, like you have to have a specific draft in mind. All these people banned. I'm assuming either Ashe or a point tank will be the first pick for Kanga. A lot of tanks banned means that tanks kind of have a higher priority. Going to be most likely where they end up.
Well, they get rid of Willow, they get rid of Khan. Of course, Kresnik, despite your controversial statement, they actually do end up getting rid of Makoa Atlas. Looks like you were right on that. Strix is first picked on Kanga's side, though, which is very, very interesting. I mean, we saw a lot of Strix being brought out yesterday on maps that you typically wouldn't expect to see Strix on. Maps that are closer together, like Bright Marsh. Ninu, for example, not as Vincier, brought it out yesterday. So I'm interested to see how they're going to be able to try and incorporate this into Warder's Gate with as many corners there are in this game.
This seems about right from what we saw from Kanga yesterday. I mean, they clearly want Chronix on a champion that can carry, and Strix is that. Ruckus early is pretty interesting. I think it could be for the Strix counter potential. The invisibility not really as good against someone with as much rapid fire potential as the Ruckus. He goes invisible. The numbers are still going to show up. G-Money's good enough to follow numbers on his screen. I think he'll be able to follow the Strix in that sense. And it's a good way to potentially shut down the Strix early. They tried to do it yesterday on Bright Marsh, but this is a much better map for Ruckus, having the ability to float on the crystals. We saw some messing around of Rhino yesterday where he just stood behind chokes, waiting to strike, not moving. They could only sense movement. Yeah. That kind of play. We're not going to probably see that specifically from Knights, but they're going to be able to get very aggressive with this Ruckus because of the flexibility that Crystal allows for you. Yeah, Ruckus, Cassie, of course, being able to lock in both of those characters is a lot because Cassie, Ruckus' biggest counter, having both of them on the team is going to mean a lot. It's going to shake things up for Kanga at least. But Maeve, Barrick, very, very interesting, of course. Very strong frontliner on Barrick. Maeve, of course, being that flank presence it is that you need to be able to sort of deal with a lot of these squishier targets. She's very, very good at diving into the backline. May very flexible. Always good to pick her up, honestly. I don't really see a map where she's really bad. A really, really wide map into Leon and Victor, maybe she would struggle, but then you can just play off the Midnight. She has a lot of options, and at this level, they're going to use all of them. Barrick's also a very smart follow-up by Kanga. Knights don't have a point tank. Yeah. You take the best one left. You also take the best point tank to pair with Genos, and you kind of want a damage-boosting healer with a Ruckus, I think, a lot of the time to make his dives a little bit more viable, make them end fights a little bit faster. So Knights are probably going to have to end up with a Furia. Now, as I was going to say, now they're going to have that Inflame to execute off of, and Inara, the only real point tank left. Yes, Nando Term. But Inara Barrack are still the two stalwart.
Here.
You want one of them unless you have a specific strat in mind.
Well, you have Furia, you have Inara, you got that aggression, you got that point presence already. You got Ruckus being able to defend those flanks, of course. Kanga opting to pick their last 2 characters for this go-around. Of course, Ashe is open, so Barrack, Ashe, common
Most
combo.
likely going to be what they pick.
Most likely, yeah, exactly. It's most likely going to be what they opt to go for. But the last character could be anything. I think since they only have 1 DPS, Kanga might try and take away. Actually, no. They have 2 DPS. Sorry,
I'm guessing Genos Ashe.
Right, yeah.
That would make the most sense to me in terms of just getting that. Maybe Io, just to have that extra point pressure. It's something that Kanga's brought out before. We saw it on this map. I know we saw a specific moment where I found out that the Io can stun through the little crack on the point if you're trying to dive someone in the backline, but they want to stay a little more standard. They need a damage boost to counter the enemy damage boost. Genos coming in instead could be kind of difficult into the Ruckus, actually. He has the Void Grip to stop some of that dive pressure,
I can get us out
but
of here
not
alive.
having a burst heal, not having a consistent I'm going to save you now heal, might make things a little bit harder against an in-flame Ruckus Cassie dive.
Exactly.
And Eevee.
Eevee, yeah, exactly, and Eevee. What I was about to bring up is the fact that, of course, you put Simzy on this Eevee, he's going to be a bit of a problem. I'm assuming Rakata's on the Cassie more than likely. Of course, they're hovering it, but I can't see a reason as to why you would not want to take the Eevee in this scenario.
You could do double backline on this map if you
Okay.
wanted to. I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to lock the Eevee just because they want that mobility. Going to be tough into the Strix. Chronix,
I agree.
very strong player on that champion, but I think you could argue for double backline. I know some teams have run some weird Tyra, BK comps, not both, but one or the other, where they sit inside the room next to the point and just focus on that. But they already have the better point presence. Better healer in terms of sustain, better point tank in terms of sustain.
Oh, well.
I think you definitely want something that can force the issue a little bit more, like Eevee would be.
Right. I mean, however, I'm a little bit curious. Which composition do you like better? Because I like Knights because I think Furia is really, really strong.
I think the Furia Ruckus combination is going to be really tough for Kanga to live through.
Right.
With only the Genos healing.
Makes a lot of sense. Game 1. Guys, we're about to get right into it. Both teams are all ready to go. We're going to throw it right down to our casters to take us to the first game.
Thank you very much, Fawn and Kresnik. Game 1 about to kick off. Both of these teams looking for their first win this week. Gormizer joins me on the call for game number 1. Should be a fun one. This is one where we were kind of talking before the day kicked off, and we weren't sure who we really had in this one. Maybe Kanga bounced back. They looked great at times yesterday. Maybe choked away the win a little bit. And then the Knights, 0-4 out against Na'Vi. So 2 different looks. 2 teams looking for a bounce back.
And it's that weird instance where, the Knights, it was a 4-0, but they looked good in most of those games. Some of them were closer than others, but they had some prominent acts, I should say, throughout all of them. There are very few moments where you're watching that and you think, man, this is a 1 versus 7 matchup. It's maybe 1 versus 4, 1 versus 3. Definitely a gap between the two, but not big enough to mention often. This time around, it's going to be maybe that heat check. How much was it just Na'Vi being really, really good at the game? And how much of it was maybe you not playing to your potential? And the same thing kind of goes for Kanga. I mean, you want to talk about not being able to close out sets. Getting up 3-1 at one point and then losing 4-3 is a rough feeling and a rough instance to try and go in and play another set on in the week.
Well, and this is important standings-wise. This, determines 6th versus 7th seed right now. Kanga technically a little bit higher. Knights right on their heels. Couple kills traded out to start out. Kanga a little worse for wear as their healer gets taken out, but Chronix with some nice shots on the Strix helps pull things back here. Rakata as well, certainly the one piloting the Cassie. Ooh. Good shots. Joel's as well getting in on the action. Make it 3 for the Barrack. And the front line of Kanga starting off hot, forcing the Knights back.
And that's one of the biggest things. I mean, G-Bunny's impact was very crucial to some winning fights yesterday. Him and Simzy are very crucial, I think, to the Knights being successful. Whereas you look at it on the other side, I mean, Joel's, one of the biggest issues they were having yesterday wasn't necessarily them playing poorly, but just Rachao going insane in some of those fights and opening up a lot of space. If it wasn't him, then it was Sadak. So if Joel's can kind of bring that through, or Rhino, they're going to be able to control this. And right now, it's already 99-63.
Overtime begins. That's a nice double from Simzy. Stunned out. Good beam. Might not win that engagement. Forced to blink out. Overtime expires. The Knights, though, in control. Some more frontline trades. Commit on the backside of the fight. 99%. One last contest in. Joel's very low health here. Zarini trying to poke out the barrack. Simsalou finishes off the kill. Overtime expires, and the Knights on the board first.
I just can't imagine how Evil Eye feels in that moment, where it's just like he mistimed the pounce into the ice block, so he just kind of hit the ice block.
Yeah.
Then when he bounces back, he gets stunned off. Then he gets pushed to the side. Wasn't really able to impact that fight at all, is really the only way to look at it. He just did not get anything done. A couple of good daggers maybe to thwart G-Bunny from getting aggressive, but it wasn't enough to find any kills. Definitely not enough to thwart the Knights from capturing that objective.
Caught out a little bit there. Good shots from G-Bunny. Simsalou and Ricotta, talk about a clean sweep. Double kill from the Cassie. G-Bunny searching for the last member of Kanga in Guerra. Simsalou, that mobility paying off in dividends. 5 for 0 on that mid-trade. Pittsburgh Knights moving forward, used Inflame and Seismic Crash. Still have 3 others, and they're getting dangerously close to the Kanga base.
Chronix is going to be able to get a kill there in tandem with Joel's. Right now, that feels like the carry potential on Kanga. It is the sniper into the blunderbuss shot coming down from the barrack that just opens up so much. It's a lot of damage to deal with, and he's still skirting it. Finally, someone's going to be able to get him. But he took down Jera in the meantime.
That was big that he was able to get Guerra cleaned up. 3 seconds left on that respawn. The Knights could push their advantage here. This is a spot where Chronix will really feel like he needs to have a big impact. If you're sitting back free and clear on a Strix, Ricotta says no way to that. Good shot from the Cassie, bending around the corner. Cuss Cutie as well getting involved in Ice Storm just for some zoning. Pittsburgh Knights, they start off 2-0 fashion. Kanga still searching for some momentum.
You can definitely, in my eyes, this kind of feels like they might be writing off of the loss from yesterday.
Yeah, this is loss hangover for sure.
But this is the biggest question. Joel's, how often can you expect him to get a triple kill? Like, how often can you expect that kind of thing to start your round?
Right.
Along with, maybe Chronix hitting some good shots. It's not, I want to say more likely, but like, you'll see him get a couple kills.
Right.
Not guaranteed, but get some good shots under Ricotta, maybe onto Simsy or Cuss, then they're going to go down. But if Knights, now knowing that in round 2, let you do that, then they're the ones making the mistake. It's not really you doing as much to kind of prove yourself. So Knights' adjustment to this, I think, is going to be more important.
Well, remember, Joel started out 3-0-0 and is now 3-4-1. Granted, nobody on Kanga really had got anything going on the defense. But Joel specifically started off with a triple and then got an assist. That's really it. Another Inflame for the Knights. As Ricotta starts to move forward. Cuss Cutie going to add another death to Joel's death column there. Assert dominance down for Rhino. Maybe just does some zoning onto Cuss, but nothing else there, and he's out of the fight. The Knights at 84% already on the point. Rhino's so caught out from everything else that's going on, he trades out a kill, but the rest of the 3 members of the Knights are just fighting in the mid. Joel's is able to scoot forward, drops down the dome shield, forces back a little bit. Overtime going. Kanga, 7%. But if these trades still go for the Knights, they're going to win this point.
It's going to be some good kills onto Simsy, onto Zarini. So once again, he's the one kind of maybe making the bigger difference of it all. And now it's just going to be the question, how do you fight back in? The Knights going to take a little while. Zarini just now respawning, and they have comeback mechanic here for Kanga. So they're almost ready to match this 99. It's going to be a lot of pressure on them to be able to come through. A good disengage, though. It's at least going to be able to unroost this Strix.
They do have an Eevee to get a touch. Ricotta getting the warning signs that he's low. Rhino gets another kill here. Simsalou's able to blink out some of that wormhole healing, giving him just a little burst of health. Not enough, though, to keep him alive up against Chronix. Finally, Kanga gets something going in their favor. Capture point number 1. Double kill from the Strix. Gets them moving with a chance to tie.
Yeah, I think there's a different version of that fight that comes through if Simsalou doesn't immediately get pinned out of the air by a sniper shot. That was Chronix on a different level. I don't know where that flick shot came from, but that's the kind of the play style of a man who does not want to lose as he comes through. A lot of good damage from him as well. Top damage in the game, about 20,000 more than the next highest. A flash out, and then a nice thread the needle to get rid of Cuss as well.
Well, it's the same story, just different teams. It's Kanga now. They're going to do their best Knights impression. Simsalou, though, is still alive to stall things out just for a moment. 3 members of Kanga left alive after that skirmish. Moving forward with the payload here. 1 minute and 40 seconds left as the Knights now respawn in the back of their base. Now top 2 damage for Kanga here. Chronix at 8 and 4. still now 25,000 ahead of the next highest member of the Knights, who is Zerini, by the way, at 39,000. Cassie Ricotta about 3,000 behind him. Chronix just looking for some shots. That's all you need your Strix to do. Plug away a little damage and allow Evil Eye to move in and finish off some kills.
One more shot, and Joel's is going to find it. Yeah, it's just one of those moments. That's actually been the kind of tandem duo that's been causing more trouble, I think, for the Knights than anything. It's just,
there you go.
You get one hit scan presence coming out of that. A beautiful headshot, not working out there. Joel's will clean it up thanks to the turret, but Chronix started that one off perfectly for him. Ricotta turning that around is huge.
I mean, he is serving kills up to his team on a silver platter. Evil Eye on the left-hand side tosses some daggers into G-Bunny. The stagger, however, too heavy. And after a near killless first half, Kanga fight back, find themselves 2 points, and we're tied up.
Yeah, I honestly have no clue who's looking stronger at this point. They both pretty much did it in the same amount of time, with the same amount of effort. I would maybe argue Knights looked slightly more clean, just in comparison to how the point fights went, but the push, very, very smooth going. It hardly hit any snags along the way. So it's going to be maybe a little bit more in-depth power here for the Knights to potentially turn this around. A little more from Sims, a little more from G-Bunny, I think kind of raises the tide for the team. That's where my pressure is on. Chronix and Joel's are a big issue right now.
Yep.
And so that's where if I were them, want to send that pressure.
Guerra was 0-4 after the first 2 points, now at a 16 streak. So looking good there. Inflame for the Knights. They're tossing everything at the wall here, trying to win this first engagement pretty convincingly. Simsalu's going to go up and over, finds Chronix awaiting, hits the shots, gets out safely. G-Bunny as well is now flanking around the backside, moving forward, turns his sights away from Joel's instead. Shifts to Guerra, but that's not enough damage to clean up the healer. Simsalu's trying to do that. 72% for the Knights here. No ultimates for them. Kanga still everything but the flashbang. So the comeback could be on. No fast cap for either team. Through time and space and Midnight, both draped down. Garrett does find a kill here, but the Knights have a good zone in place.
Being able to stay alive here for Zerini would probably be the biggest thing. Dome Shield going to get dropped. That 87% is going to be high and mighty, and it's going to take a little while for Kanga to catch up. But with Zerini gone for 10 seconds and then travel time, they're going to at least be able to get to, let's say, 60, 70% here. And if Rhino can do a good job zoning, maybe even find a kill in the process, this is going to open up a lot more room for King.
There's a zone for you, and gets the kill on a Simsalu. That's their primary point toucher in Eevee. And now for 4 more seconds, don't have Simsy. A great zone from the Ash, blocking off 3-4 members of the Knights now. Kanga Esports get themselves to about 90%. Could finish off this. Chronix getting rid of Zerini as well. That's very important. G-Bunny hanging around that left-hand side. He's the one now who needs to stay alive on the point. Simsalu is back for a little re-engage. Second flashbang of the round out for Chronix here. Guerra gets some good shots. Evil Eye trying to dance around, force back a few members of the Knights. One more volley of daggers into G-Bunny will find the kill. So many low members. Ricotta one shot away. Dodge rolls back into the corner. Another Inflame though. Perfect timing for the Knights. Now Chronix has to wrap around. A good double kill from him, but I'm not sure it's enough.
It was a great flank being able to come through, but yeah, the Knights stand tall at the end of the fight, so they're going to be able to capture that point, and that was really good awareness from Chronix. I think even better just team play from the Knights. There was a moment looking through his scope. There's a Cassie and there's a Ruckus that are one hit, and he just right between the eyes. It's nice disengage, just a little bit of knockback, a little bit of CC here and there, and then the Inflame at the perfect time, being able to open it up. Just beautifully done for the Knights, beautifully executed. Now, again, it's kind of keeping me in wonder as to which of these teams is truly stronger. They're both just hitting each other at full force. I'll have to see if maybe, as the maps go on, it will maybe read a little more.
Yeah.
Because this is one Kanga is especially good at. But you got to do something to deal with it. I think this Strix, we've seen him banned a lot lately.
Yeah.
I think this is pretty much a testament why. His last 12 minutes have been non-stop Strix highlights.
Well, with that shot onto G-Bunny, not only does Rhino get the kill, but Chronix eclipses 100,000 damage for the game. Both teams with a successful mid-cap, both teams with a successful push as well. The Knights are looking to make it too. Rhino with the last 3 kills, starting to heat up a little bit on this Ash. Ever so important here, looking to tie up the game with a successful defense is Kanga. charging up some of those ultimates as they peel back. I mean, in reality, is it on Simsalud to try to flank onto Chronix?
Well, that was one of the things I originally was thinking he would be trying to do. I mean, in that fight, it seemed like maybe the only route to be able to find success. You get rid of the Strix, all of a sudden it alleviates a lot of pressure from your tanks, alleviates pressure for you as well. But it might not be a winning matchup. I mean, 1800, if you get headshot in your Simsalud in that scenario, you're gone. If you don't, you lose 2/3 of your health bar.
Sure.
And then you also have to take the grain of salt. They've been keeping Rhino back there as a bodyguard. They are keeping Chronix alive. He's the president. The rest of the team is just to kind of keep his head above water.
Well, it's almost been a flip of the front lines as well. G-Bunny, with a red-hot start to this game, has been held quietly. And a lot of that, the ideal for Kanga is you set up with a great shot from Chronix, and then somebody from the rest of your team is in position to finish off the kill. It's been there more often than not for Kanga this game. 2 out of 3 connect onto G-Bunny. Joels finishes off the kill as well. They are able to trade out a few of the Knights. They realize one more mid-fight might await, but Kanga might have to hold their legs in on defense a little bit heavier. Rakata with some big shots on the Cassie. Keep this payload moving forward. Overtime is on. Kanga back in their base. Both teams 5 ultimates strong. Might rely on 1 or 2 of those just to defend here. If you're Kanga, the Knights don't necessarily need to press the issue, but if they see an opening, they'll take it.
And that's going to be the biggest thing. G-Bunny, you can already see him getting aggressive on the side, taking a lot of damage just for showing his face over there. The same thing goes for Zarini. Both their health bars being a little low, maybe uncomfortable here. Not going to be able to find any of the kills there. Simsalud, maybe if he's able to turn around onto Evil Eye before that shot comes through, it's a little more even, but there's just range advantage coming down from Kanga, not just from the Strix, but having the blunderbuss that comes through. We've been talking about how much barrier damage can attribute to a fight, and just seeing it constantly, and in this case, maybe even working even more so because of how well this Strix is hitting and how low they can get for either Maeve or for him. Joels is playing incredibly well, but with them working together, it's impossible to kind of estimate that damage coming in. You're just suddenly chunked down by 3/4 or more of your health bar.
Yeah, that's it's a split second. Things could turn around. Top damage in the game still for Chronix. Nothing changes there. Joels takes up the mantle of second place. What did you say?
A good amount.
Like you said good amount. I said that's the standard horse score. I don't know.
It's a good amount there. It's classic horse. Can't go wrong with that one.
Rhino dismounts into the assert dominance. Zones around the backside of the Knights. Health bars melting up in the top right-hand corner. Who can take advantage quicker is the question. Into the Hexafire goes G-Bunny. Chronix sneaking around this corner here, looking for a plug shot. Following up with some good sidearm damage. Flashbang connects with the wall, but not much else. G-Bunny trying to escape. Chronix shuts that one down very quickly. Honestly, 2 big engagements happening here. One back by Chronix, one on the other end on the Knights side of things. The Knights and Zarini have 21%, but Joels is right there to counter out.
They're going to be able to sit around a little more on the side of Kanga as well. Zarini's low health, and he's taking too many daggers to continue the fight. Every time in space, he's going to shoot through just to try and create some space, but it's a low-scoring objective right now, 24-12. These are really some of the first kills that are making a big difference.
No ultimates either. This is just who can trade out more effectively. Right now, it's Kanga, 1 for 2, but Gera is the one they lose on their side. You have to cleanly win these engagements. Evil Eye trying to get rid of Zarini. That would be big for Kanga. 51% for the Knights is where they stall out. 21% and climbing now for Kanga. The zone is on for the win in game number 1. 0.7 on the board. Good shot. He's going to zone out. Rakata forces him back behind the wall. 57% now on the point. Rakata had to get healed up before he's able to move forward. G-Bunny and Simsalud flanking around the right-hand side there. Might be able to find themselves an angle. Evil Eye diving deep onto Rakata, forced back. Nearly down off the wall. Zarini back to contest the point.
Playing a good angle there for Evil Eye as well. Stays alive in the backline. Still going to be back there. Still being a nuisance. Got a lot of trouble for Rakata now, and Rhino's getting aggressive with him. What
an aggressive dive that was to get rid of the Cassie as well. That's been such a boon for the Knights. Flashbang out. So does the seismic crash. Connects onto a couple. The frontliners for the Pittsburgh Knights are going to zone, and they're going to win the game.
And it does come down to just that. When it's, you know, you lose Rakata. You don't have your Cassie as damaged during that last fight. That is Zarini and G-Bunny maybe a hint of Simsalou and a hint of Cuss putting their efforts all into that and just kind of body blocking it. Everyone on Kanga went in full focus. There was a Strix looking at him. There was a Maeve looking at him. There was an Ashe running at him to get rid of a Cassie. And, well, poor Joel's, poor Gara, just alone on the objective. You get rid of one, it becomes a lot easier to get rid of the rest. There's no point presence, and Zarini just kind of Anara's up on the
That's
point.
right. Maybe they sell out a little too heavily for the Cassie. I mean, everyone starts to flow in that direction and kind of forget about the important thing in the middle. If they had a little bit more time, that's maybe looking good for Kanga, but they didn't. The Knights are able to best their score from yesterday and put a 1 on the board. Kanga looking to fight back after this break.
iNap, powering the control room for the Paladins Premier League.
Welcome back, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed that game as much as we did on Waters Gate. PK, able to clutch it out at first. It looked like Kanga was going to be able to win that last point fight, but thankfully a good wall and ice storm from both Zarini and Simsalou combined were enough to stop Kanga.
I don't know if I would call that a good wall. It was a wall. It was in the way. It stopped him. It actually did set up the ice storm.
Right.
He did miss the perfect block on point, but the ice storm was there to kind of make up for it at the end. And it did lead to PK taking it. I love the aggression that they had, constantly throwing Bunny and either DPS into the back just to clean up anybody that was a little bit overextended. It was a little bit rough for Cuss in the middle ground trying to deal with Chronix on the sniper, considering how much of an outrageous performance he put on. I mean, 50K, I think, above basically anybody else. Only Joel's, right? Because the closest to him on his own team. But looking at the stats, I mean, you would guess that Kanga won just looking at the damage, but Knights just, their aggressive strat just won the objectives that mattered.
Yeah, they were getting a lot of these picks. Kanga were winning trades, and then all of a sudden it was like, wait, Knights just ended up winning because they just had that point presence. Zarini 6-11, 20, 15-3 for 13 for Rakata, 4-7 for Cuss Cutie. But of course, more than anything, Simsalou, I want to talk about him just a little bit because of the fact that his Eevee was definitely doing some amazing stuff, especially when you hit shots like that. It's hard to argue whether he did good or not.
That is what makes the Eevee matchup winnable for Eevee, being able to confirm shots like that. Being in the right position, Eevee does so much for enabling that very aggressive playstyle. That's unfortunate for Evil. I didn't notice that one right when it happened, but it's so important having the Eevee to be mobile, to find these kills, and this Ice Storm, again, combined with the wall, it was a little bit off, but the Ice Storm confirmed the last second. They had to jump around it, couldn't have the speed to get around through the Ice Storm. Yeah,
I mean, once again, literally, it was really just a matter of Simsalou being in the right spot at the right time. Because we talked about it a little bit because you had asked me like how were like a little bit of things evolving while you were eating your delicious Chipotle. You asked about how the fight you thought was evolving, so forth. And it actually ended up going pretty good. Simsy was waiting on the side for that Maeve. He was really playing a lot more back than you'd think he would, until he was definitely sure that he could go in. But map 2, let's see where we're headed.
Frog Isle, so very different style of map, I would say. Aggression will still work, so Knights bringing us here seems normal to me.
Yeah.
You can get pretty aggressive on that danger side if you have the right composition for it. This might be a map where we don't see Willow banned, but considering the Knights just lost to it being played in a triple DPS yesterday, wouldn't be shocked to see them want to get rid of it, even if it is against their own wishes. But Genos is going to be the starter here, so maybe just focusing on damage boost. Might try to prioritize that Furia early just to be able to win those engagements a little bit better.
Yeah, Genos, of course, getting rid of that. Cuss, zooming in closely. The $1 million smile there. Same time, Kanga trying to find out what it is they might want to go for, of course. Really just a matter of deciding whether Makoa and whether Atlas are actually going to end up getting banned first, or if they're going to try and leave them open, or how Knights are going to try and prioritize that.
If they leave one open, then, I mean, what we've seen is when the second pick leaves it open, we actually kind of usually see an answer with the first pick where they ban it. And I don't know how much I agree with that. You generally want one on first pick, but sometimes if both are left available, the second pick gets a small advantage because not only do they get the remainder of the tanks, which are both strong, and we know Kanga can play both, they also get something else. They get a little head start on the draft that way, and Kanga does not want to ban one of them, so I would expect Knights to answer with that. But for now, we have Eevee being banned after that performance that Simsaloo was able to put on. Not too surprising. They don't want to have to deal with that pressure. Mave will still be available, so I expect that to go pretty quick. If the power tanks stay open, then I would fully expect Kanga to start with the remainder and Mave just to have that flank completely on lock for their side. Right,
exactly. I mean, of course, Knights, once again, time taken away, using some of their bank time to really consider what they're going to go for. Vapor right there. Nice little hat. Really just trying to think about what they're opting to ban in this case. Makoa, they're going to get rid of that first, of course. Probably in response, Kanga more than likely are going to get rid of Atlas. Don't want to be able to let him through either.
Yeah, but Kanga pretty much have to ban Atlas unless they have a counterplay. And it's possible on this map you could go something like Victor, sitting on danger side, not let the Atlas through, apply that damage, but they decide to ban Atlas instead. Does make sense. A lot of people ban him in scrims, so you don't want to be playing against something you don't practice against too much. Sometimes you can pull it out. If you're really feeling yourself, you can kind of pull out a strat that you've never practiced before in matches. I know we talked to Kanga about that after one of their previous wins of, hey, all this crazy stuff that you do, how much of that is predetermined and how much of that is just on the spot? And they said they practice it a lot, but if they really find something crazy, they're willing to bust it out, but not this time. Going to keep it pretty standard. And Khan going to be picked up by the Knights. And honestly, judging by how Kanga been drafting, I wouldn't be surprised to see Ashe or Barrack plus Strix.
That makes sense. That does make sense. I mean, of course, we have Frog Isle right here, so if there was any map that Strix was going to be apparent on, or Kinessa for that fact, it would more than likely be Frog Isle. We're just going to have to see, of course, what Kanga are going to opt to lock in for their first two characters right here. I mean, Genos is off of the board, of course. They got rid of first two bans, sort of being target bans on both Knights and Kanga's side. First ban, Genos. Second ban, Eevee. And in this situation, on this map, of course, you want to be able to get the Strix. You want to be able to get Kinessa. But what do people not prioritize that you feel like would be a must-have on Frog Isle?
A single breath.
I think people prioritize pretty properly for this map. Kanga going with the same 2 DPSs they had last time. I guess they didn't perform too poorly. No, so you want Strix and Mave here being pulled out. Strix, again, they've been prioritizing it super high, and they've banned Eevee. So get Mave and now those 2 flankers that I guess they think that's all Simsaloo can play, at least in this current meta. They want to get rid of that and force them onto something different, whether it be a kind of a passive Drogo's composition, which it looks like it could be with the Narakan. Narakan, very stalwart tanks, able to kind of lock down a lot of areas, and if they do end up with the Drogo's combustible on top of that, this could be a really tough comp to break through, even with Mave Midnight to try to bust through that choke.
Fun fact, Willow's not gone. She's open. So, I mean, there is a possibility, of course, that we can't see the Willow. Of course, I mean, that is an option that both teams have, but if they want to run triple DPS, Kanga can. I don't think they will, but they definitely have that option to be able to be there. We did see that. They did run, not Kanga, but a triple DPS comp was run on Frog Isle yesterday. Willow being one of the characters as a third DPS. Io, Barrack. Now, this is what I like to see because Kanga have had a run with Io right now. They love this character clearly. They drafted in a lot of different situations. Why do you think that is?
Why do you think that they've been playing Io so much?
Yeah, like what is it that's working for them?
It's the point pressure. Right. It really is. Just being able to get aggressive with everybody and have that point cap going on. Also, it kind of helps for how slow they think the game might go with a Narakan going towards the Knights and a sniper on both sides. Having someone that can't be cauterized on the point. I mean, Bulldozer can happen, but that still takes away resources from the rest of the team. You can put Luna on point, get a lot of cap time, pocket her through a decent bit of damage, pull her away, have your Barrack replace. It really helps considering how slow this game is most likely going to go. I mean, the only really aggressive DPS on the board right now is Mave.
Right.
They have, if Willow and Kinessa get locked in, neither of them, I mean, Willow can kind of go in at a moment's notice, but not really want to with the composition that they have. Going to be mostly spam oriented, I would say. He's the only one who can really go in. It's going to be very slow. Having Io to constantly trade on and off of the point is going to do a lot for the objective control that Kanga will get.
Right, exactly. I mean, of course, Willow, Kinessa, last two characters that are going to end up being locked in. Ashe for Kanga, in response to that, are going to be the sustainability it is that they're going to opt to go for, of course, with Sir Dominance. That's going to be a lot on Knights to be able to deal with, and that's a lot for anybody really to deal with. But Khan, Anar, Maldamba, Willow, of course, Kinessa, Strix, Maeve, Io, Barrick, Ashe. Now, this is very interesting because, of course, you brought up before the point presence that Luna can create herself is very, very important. So you're more than likely just going to end up completely sticking Luna on point once you get that aggression and just run it at him.
Yeah, I would say it could just help them for the passive play because, again, I don't think either comp is great at forcing the issue until Ashe gets Assert Dominance up. I'd say that all eyes on the sniper duel. Whoever wins that, the first team's probably going to get aggressive. I would give the edge to Kanga purely because I think Strix is the better counter sniper.
Right.
And I think they have the better composition for going in once they get that win. Ashe is huge for that, I feel.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I agree with that, too. I mean, the sustainability, like I mentioned before, with Assert Dominance, you got the Barrier, of course, for Dome Shield. They have a lot of strong point presence. Kanga have the capability to be able to take a lot of these point fights if they play it properly. Knights, on the other hand, they've got the aggression. They can hold the flanks. They can do what they can, but the question is, can they win the second game? Game 2 is underway.
Kanga need to fight back right now. This is a Pittsburgh Knights team that you do not want to let establish momentum in these sets. As tough a loss as a 7-point on Warder's Gate is, Frog Isle can be a snowbally map, Goran. If the Knights come out with the same momentum that they had, this could start to go very heavily in the wrong direction.
And when they were hovering this Willow and Kinessa, you could watch them in their player cam. There was a lot of discussion going on. I wholeheartedly believe it was Simsalou giving every reason he does not like playing Willow, even though she's really good. And that was probably what their bang time was. Then there was maybe like a little bit of flavor of like, yeah, you know what, I can deal with X, Y, and Z. Don't worry about it. But being able to go through with that, it's a champion that, again, we've seen be very prominent. And as Fawn had mentioned, we've seen her banned a lot. We've seen her first picks in games where she isn't banned. She went very, very deep in the draft this time.
Yeah.
So Simsalou, a lot of potential to maybe shake it up, and also kind of a newcomer for this map. The first time I've seen her here, Io.
Yeah.
For Kanga. I want to know how that works.
Right now, just doing her best to sustain. Rhino does enough, and actually Joel's grabs first blood in this one. Is going to get even more aggressive. Moves forward. Gara finishing off G-Bunny. Zarini falls as well. Kanga move forward swiftly as one. 66% for the Knights. And Kanga hit their shots. Grab themselves point control here and look to zone out PK as they're coming back for their base.
Honestly, I think one of the deadliest things you could have done is let Kanga get the Ashe, Barrick, Strix, Maeve. Like, they get 4 things they just played. They're already warmed up on them. They're feeling comfortable. Yes, you were able to beat them, but it's a good draft for Frog Isle, and they already have the control under their belts. They know what they're doing. Evil Eye maybe biting off more than he can chew, but that's because there's no one on the Knights near the objective.
And that's a good zone as well. You kind of see the silhouettes through the rocks. G-Bunny trying to move forward, body blocked out just a little bit by the frontliners of Kanga. They strike first tier on Frog Isle. At least dispel some of that momentum that the Knights had going for them. Frontliners starting to feel themselves a little bit. Chronix, as you mentioned, already warmed up on this Strix. Not something that we'd ever doubt. Damage charts looking the same as the end of Warder's Gate. Top damage goes to Chronix. Second damage to Joel's on the Barrick.
And that's the thing. It looked, I know he was shooting at a presser mine. It looked like he just kind of popped Gara for one there. Just to kind of show him, like, don't forget who's lead in damage here.
Right.
Being able to kind of keep this up. It's the difference of Strix right now versus the Kinessa. I don't feel any impact, actually, from Ricotta, which is very, very rare to say that. But it feels like I've seen him only on the receiving end of a lot of these kills. Simsalou getting a couple of answer backs, but there's never been enough to be that substantial. And they just, it doesn't feel like any of them really are accomplishing that much. Simsalou is the only one with any kills, really. At 3, Sereni's been able to put his name in for a few, but most of them end up onto Evil Eye.
And that was a brawl where Simsalou was able to get a couple more kills, but back and forth all day. 2 members of Kanga left alive at the end of it, Evil Eye and Rhino. They boop him off, get the payload nice and close. Gara with the first kill in this re-engagement. Joel's as well, with Cuscutie down the frontliners. have to just position themselves a little bit better, but no more Zarini. That spells no more contest, especially with G-Bunny in the back. And Kanga start off hot, keep it going, grab themselves point number 2.
I mean, you've mentioned it was a snowbally map. Kanga are the ones taking advantage of it, I think, a little more so. Joel's is a threat. Chronix is a threat. Rhino is a threat, but only because the other two open up so much room for him. I think if you can deal with the first two, maybe if you can get some pressure onto the IO early on, which is a really weird thing to think about, but if you get rid of Luna, maybe it forces Joel to play less aggressive.
Right.
And you could get Joel's maybe pulled back in front of Zarini, kind of into the open land, where Simsalou, Ricotta could potentially pick it up. But at the end of the day, there's one person who is 0-3 on the team that it needs to be different, and that is where Ricotta stands. This Kinessa's not doing anything so far.
And he's third damaging on his team behind Zarini on the Inara as he now hits a shot and leaps over. Needs to be more, though. When you are being tripled up on damage to the enemy sniper, it's not bode well for your team. Chronix up top at 46,000 damage. Good Dread Serpent catches a couple. Sir Dominance rips down Cuscutie, low health. Haven't finished him off just yet. Zarini drops down the seismic crash. Rhino's actually the first death in this re-engagement. Evil Eye just looking for a couple more daggers. Midnight drapes over Frog Isle as the aggression continues here. Some good low health bars that Evil Eye could take advantage of. G-Bunny's just going to put up that shield. They're going to drop the Fox on the point and move themselves forward and fight as a team. And that's so detrimental to the Knights. It's hard to fight back 4v5 from this position, but much less 5v5 when you have that IO.
The more I'm seeing these fights flesh out, the more I'm realizing the Knights just don't have a good Frog Isle draft. I mean, all of those champions do well on this map, hands down. And they do have a lot of potential to turn it around. But Kanga has someone to dive the back line, which is going to be distracting for the Willow and for the Kinessa, maybe even for the Maldamba. Zarini walked up alone. He had no one to go up there with him, no one to really contest the ramp in this fight for the Knights. There's just a lot of ground around the point fight that they lose. Even if they find a defense here, they have to completely change their approach around the mid fight, or else it's just going to fall apart. I mean, G-Bunny, even with Simsalou behind him, it's not the same pushing power as an Ashe Mage, you know? It just doesn't have the capabilities to get around the shields, to get around to the back line, even if you're being held at bay.
Also, I have no idea how Rhino just stayed alive. He was 1v4 in the left-hand side of the Knight's base. It's down to 600 health, but keeps himself in there. Got a good zone. The Knights are able to move forward, draw a little bit of that line. Midnight. One more time from Kanga. A fight win here would likely spell the end of this game and a tie here in this set. Evil Eye trying to cause a ruckus at the back line, able to get himself out of Simsalou's. Looking forward, Evil Eye turns it around, hits some daggers, deletes the Willow. A double kill for the Mave, spelling danger for the Knights. They will have the respawns, they will be able to get back in time to contest. But how staggered out do these frontliners get? That's the question now. The boop off the map gets rid of Zarini. Good fight there from Kanga. Downhill trend towards the Pittsburgh Knights base. One last chance to try to stall out Kanga.
They're going to be able to bring it forward. Luna in a perfect spot to keep the payload going. Again, the rest of them going to get aggressive with it. This is perfect for Frog Isle. And with Simsalou gone, you're already at a deficit.
That's absolutely game. Kanga starting to sweep through. Zarini getting chunked out here. The last line of defense for the Pittsburgh Knights, but signs of life from Kanga. Be gone, Zarini. Payload rolls itself through, and Kanga find themselves win number 1 in this set.
Now, there's multiple facets to look at for that one. That one was won in the draft. I think hands down. I just don't think like that. Once they locked in Willow Kinessa, that was kind of not a death sentence, but that's where it fell apart. Willow, Kinessa, both again very, very good on separate drafts, both very prominent on this map. You didn't have someone like an Eevee, someone like a Mave to get to the back line.
Sure.
Willow theoretically could help with that, but against the Mave who was causing trouble for the Kinessa, like they just didn't have enough bodyguards and enough, I guess, point breaks to break through. No one to get to the other side.
I agree, and at some point I think you have to consider maybe banning out Strix because Chronix has shown 2 games in a row. He's going to make you pay if you give it to him. Tied up at 1, tiebreaker right after this.
Alienware, the official PC provider of the Paladins Premier League.
Welcome back, guys. If you blink, well, you missed it. 4-0 already for Kanga on Frog Isle, of course. Second time they've drafted Strix, and we finally saw the IO it is that they're sort of known for about this time, and it worked out more than well with a clean 4-0.
Yeah, the flexibility in their composition was just a little bit too much for the Knights to handle. They could kind of answer anything, and I think they had the better counter sniper for sure. Ricotta, very quiet in that game, but I think it was really tough to deal with what Chronix was putting out across all 4 rounds.
110% agree with that because of the fact that, once again, said it before, they already drafted Strix about twice in a row. We're going to take a look at the post-game stats to show you, of course, what it is that we're talking about here. 140,000 once again. Second game in a row where he's actually been
pretty sure this is Warder's Gate.
Really? Is it the same?
There's no conceivable way he did 140,000 damage in a 4-0.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, there is the update. Okay, 72,000 damage.
Still a lot.
Still a lot of damage. Still topping it the best in the entire game, of course. At the same time, of course, you have Evil Eye, 53K, and really on the other side, Ricotta and Simzulu, both 40K and sub 40K respectively. The same time, though, 72,000 damage on Chronix is an absolute. It's a lot of damage to be pumping out on the Strix. 10-1. That is absolutely astronomical because of the fact that this is, once again, second time in a row where that's happened, and he's done well both times.
Yeah, and you can see how one-sided the sniper matchup really was. I mean, 10-1 to 0-5. Kanga just able to get really aggressive and make a ton of space, but I mean, Krone, the man himself, able, and we can see why Strix is such a high priority pick for Kanga. I mean, two games in a row, 210k damage over what is, effectively 11 rounds he did 210k damage. That's insane. He's able to do so much. The team makes a lot of space for him, and it's really showing why Strix is getting banned in some of these sets. Just so impactful at any range, more or less. When you're connecting shots like Krone is, then they gotta find an answer for it, whether it's banned, picked, or just more aggressively dealt with.
Yeah, I mean, you see the double kills it is that are coming out from him. Not only that, but of course, 77k, the damage itself. You got to be able to find some sort of way to deal with that Strix. Ricotta had a sort of quiet game. You brought it up before. Only 40,000 damage. Definitely not what you'd expect to see from him or Simsi at sub 40k during that game. It was just a rough game for him. You brought up before. It was a very, very flexible game for them as well. However, we're going to get right into map 3. See where we're going this go around.
And it's going to be Stonekeep.
Nice.
Place the Knights have gone after losing before. Very different map than Frog Isle. I'm sure Strix is still going to get picked unless it gets through, but we'll have to see how Kanga decide to prioritize and how Knights kind of have an answer to it. Wouldn't be surprised to see Willow banned again. It wasn't banned last game, but that was Frog Isle, and I think that was a great example of why Willow is not really getting banned or picked too much on that map. Just not really doing what it needs to. I think the difference in height, not enough, too far away, too inconsistent to get that splash damage, but not on this map. Not on Stonekeep. Willow, very strong here. Fayflight really good at spamming people in spawn. You can shoot around the corners when they're holding up top, and that's why the Knights are just going to get rid of her.
Yeah, Willow. Definitely don't want to deal with her. Of course, you can do what you can, of course, with controlling the keep. We've seen BK brought out on this map. Ricotta has been taking Leon. He's been taking Victor on this map as well. He's doing extremely, extremely well overall. Willow, in this case, like you said, and like people can expect, always first ban. Not going to be allowed unless people are looking to pick her.
Yeah, and they should be looking to pick her because of how impactful she is. Genos is a response for Kanga, and judging on how the last draft went, I'm going to guess Atlas or Makoa banned for Knights. Now Atlas is going to be banned for Kanga unless they have a specific answer. This is one of the maps where you can have a response to Atlas. You can pull out that Victor later in the draft or any strong backline to force the Atlas to burn his cooldowns early, get a lot of damage as he's coming in. But again, I don't know if Kanga are going to do it, and they don't. They want to just play more what they're comfortable with. Both off tanks still up for Knights. Also, both point tanks still up. I'm assuming one of them will be the pick unless they want to go for that Strix just to get it out of Chronix's hands.
Yeah, I mean, they could really go for anything here. I mean, Ricotta on this map has proven to be versatile on many different characters. Yep. They could get the Strix. He's done that. They can get the Leon. He's done that. They could get the Victor. He's done that. So there's a lot of things it is that they could opt to go for first here. Of course, since Alice off the board, so is Makoa. They may try and opt to get that Khan maybe for G-Bunny. We've seen him do that before as well. But of course, it's really just up to speculation.
All 4 of the tanks that are up are very good on here. But they want to go with Maeve instead. After it was banned last time, the Knights are saying, well, let's remind you why you took it away from us.
Yeah.
Simsaloo, monstrous on this champion, able to do really easy rotates around the side. I mean, Eevee can do it too, but having that Midnight for execute when you're holding on that high ground and able to collapse on them could be great. Definitely, and I hope, a better look than the Xin was on this map yesterday.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Maeve, of course, being first picked. Taking that away from Evil Eye as well. He had a pretty good game yesterday, too. So, I mean, not only yesterday, but he had a pretty good game today, these past couple games. Even still was definitely proving to be a very, very formidable foe into Simsaloo, onto the Eevee, so on and so forth. So, of course, Maeve locked in first. Anara Strix following up
and
soon
are
after
unwanted,
that.
stranger.
And this showing Kanga's priority on Strix yet again. Knights, Midnight is an answer for it. Ruckus early again could also be an answer for it. We'll have to see what Knights decide to do because they're going to need to find an answer soon if Chronix keeps putting out these performances. Cassie's definitely a choice. Inara gets countered a little bit by the big game. Scout to deal with the Strix invisibility, make it a little easier to make those dives happen.
Of course.
Since they have the Midnight on their side, they don't really need to save the Scout for anything. They don't have to worry about holding on to that. Very, very impactful and underrated, I think, at the casual level ultimate.
Yeah.
Can just throw it out, get the Strix, get the zone, and hide. Try to keep them from hiding the next time they fight.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things that are very underappreciated at a casual level. At the same time, though, of course, Maeve, Cassie, Darkness, well, Midnight, and Scout, both of them have access to that all at once. Ashe, of course, Surge Dominance is going to be able to prove very, very helpful, especially if they're trying to fight for keep, or definitely try and put some pressure on the high ground. More than likely, they're going to be the ones in church. Anara, Strix, Maldamba so far, and Barrett. Yeah, Anara Barrett, we were talking about this before. And by before, I mean yesterday, about how Anara Barrett, you normally can never really fight the two of them together because of how strong they are. They're strong individually, but putting them together, I mean, we saw a Barrick ban yesterday, Barrick Anara, these two coupled together are going to be really, really difficult for Knights to be able to try and break through.
Yeah, Barrick off tank is kind of underrated. Really nice to see it coming in with a healer like Damba that can really pocket one single target while the other backs up to get healed. I think it's viable on any map where you can contest the objective and have that be your primary focus. There's definitely some maps where you can't really get away with it. You have to be doing something else, like Serpent Beach, for example.
Right.
You can't only fight the point.
Right.
Because you're just going to get surrounded and die. There's really no out. On Stone Keep, you can play in the church. You can make the point your primary focus. And that's what's going to make this draft viable potentially for Kanga. Also, when you have Chronix on Strix backing you up, spamming the other choke points, it makes it just a little bit easier. With both point tanks gone, Knights might have to fall back onto Zarini's Terminus.
Yeah, they might. I mean, it's proven time and time again that it's been fruitful. He has yet to actually lose a game in the PPL where he has picked Terminus. That is yet to actually happen. He's undefeated right now.
Now,
currently.
I know I had absolutely no impact on that 71% Terminus win rate, but I'm happy to see it anyway.
Gas yourself up. Yeah, no, that's okay.
There's no reason for me to gas myself up. I'm just saying that I'm really happy to see Terminus winning.
No, I mean, that's completely fine. I mean, it's the same way whenever it is I see Moji get picked and then she ends up winning whenever that is. Then I feel happy about that too, you know?
The Moji win alarm covered in cobwebs.
Upset.
I mean, it's not really. She wins on that map all the time. 1% pick rate, though. Still coming out. Xin would be interesting by Kanga, especially since I think they're playing mostly on the ground. Maybe it makes sense if they wanted to play outside, have both tanks cycling on point. You put Xin as the one contesting them and keep, playing very defensive. Basically being used, I'm assuming, purely for his Yomi. Throw Yomis down keep. They're all going to get cleaved. They're all going to get chunked for that high amount of damage.
Good point.
It could be a good potential if they kind of keep Evil Eye. I'm assuming Evil Eye on Xin. I wouldn't expect him to be on Strix after the last two games. In the banana side, throwing Yomis, making it really hard for Knights to kind of stay on that upper area and not let them contest the double point tank freely. If that fires in all cylinders, Kanga have an amazing shot at just 99 to 0ing the first point fight.
Of course. I mean, do you think the Zen is going to play a factor here? Like, do you think that this is a good choice for them to pick into the Knights?
If they win this game 4-0, yes.
Okay.
If the Knights start getting defenses, that Zen, I think, is going to fall off as the game goes on.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Of course, here we go, guys. Game 3 on its way. Stone Keep is where the battle will be.
Well, we're tied up at 1, and what an important game Game 2 was for Kanga because, you know, I mentioned it pre-game Frog Isle. This is where the Knights can start to roll here. They're going to go back to the Strix for Kanga. Not surprising after what Chronix has been able to do up to this point in this set. We heard some of Kresnik's thought on the Xin. Where does he fall in your mind?
You know, I stuck my neck out for Xin yesterday, and look where that got me. Well, I guess technically right back in the booth.
He's also running
so I guess
Guillotine
I
as of right now.
I actually like Guillotine here, maybe a little bit more. We'll have to see maybe if he sticks with that as they leave the base, but he's going to be stepping out now, and that's kind of the big question. He's definitely more susceptible to death than he used to be at the beginning of the year, but you can still see similar loadout, hideout being pretty low there in the loadout, but billow speed, whirlwind speed, get you out of the fight as best you can. And if he plays it like this aggressive, and assuming he has stuck with Guillotine, expect him to be an ult machine. He's not going to be hitting the Yomi strikes. He's going to be going only for these ults on the tank. We'll have to see that one, a third slice, depending on how much it does. It's kind of the telltale sign.
He's getting aggressive there. That's the billow difference. Evil Eye gets a little aggressive, doesn't have the time to get out safely. 1-for-1 trade. Kanga have been on the point this entire time. Crash comes down right into the wall, actually. May have mitigated just a little bit. Sneaks his way through on the left-hand side. Some good healing. Now Gara's caught out, stun and slither. Keeps him safe. On the backside of the fight, though, Simsaloo and Evil Eye still doing battle. Joel's looking for a kill onto G-Bunny, who's now dropped down into the shoulder bash. Good body block. Now he's got 2 frontliners to try to deal with. Gets the reset on the rocket boots. No kill onto Joel's just yet. Cuskity comes in to save the day. 75% for the Knights in the meantime. And finally, the dust starts to settle. Cuskity 1 shot away. And when Chronix is on the other end of that shot, you got to count your blessings.
Not enough time to charge up a Terminus ult just yet. So he's going to end up going down here. But that 87% is going to be looking pretty good for the Knights as Kanga are coming through. Simsaloo can make it out of this one alive, and he does. Well, at least for a little bit. Might have been able to mean a little more, but with those 3 kills, this is a Kanga point.
That is a roaring start for Kanga. A little bit of a fight back there from the Knights. Top damage at 5-1-0 is that Xin. So Evil Eye at least showing us why maybe it works. Tied up with Chronix, who's been doubling up effectively everyone else in these games on damage. So Evil Eye keeping pace, at least for now. First fight was used, didn't get to see at least on screen the effectiveness, but can't imagine it was too ineffective at 5-1-0. Simsaloo way in the back line. We've seen this kind of out of Maeve, haven't we, where they'd go all the way around the backside, kind of play ultimate backline, try to get behind all of Kanga and just try to be a nuisance.
I'm really glad we can't, I guess there's nothing to do against her, right? I mean, you have to turn around, you have to look at her, and your mindset, no one should be back there. She's behind the back line, and if you get the kind of appropriate movement in the right position, that's Evil Eye taking too much damage, maybe forcing a billow out that could have saved for another fight. That's Chronix having to use his stealth earlier. It's just, if it's not a kill, it's something that's going to help either your team win the fight or help you in about 3-4 seconds whenever you decide to kind of hit the reset button and go back in. So there's a lot of those little moments here, I think, for the Knights, specifically from Simsaloo, that could open the door and showcase the talents, I guess, Maeve brings to this. But a lot of it is still going to depend on, well, how hard Evil Eye is hitting as he chases you down.
Well, Kanga got well indoctrinated into that Maeve playstyle yesterday. Freeze God tore them apart in a couple of games. So at least something they're maybe a little bit more used to. Just a fight to get back to the payload here as Zarini falls down, has the reanimate. I wouldn't advise using it right there. I think he wouldn't either as he completes his respawn, goes back to base a couple seconds out from being back in the game on his own terms. Payload now rounding the next corner. A space where Chronix will look to do just that. Plug a couple shots in, try to dodge out some of those Calamity Blasts. Cuskity takes up his mantle on the high ground, going up some of his backliners. The left seems to be the point of contention here as Simsaloo on the opposite throws out some daggers. Evil Eye rushes through the keep, spins on through, doesn't end up catching too many daggers from Simsaloo, so he stays alive. Chronix down on the low ground with the double kill is firing away here. Joel's as well takes advantage. It's up to Zarini to try to contest. 0 seconds left on a couple. They're going to be able to drop down, maybe contest in the meantime. It's Zarini who falls to contest right now. Whoa.
They just slaughtered him. I mean, at the very end, that was just in tandem, several kills in a row, being able to kind of flash through and come on in. And that's the difference maker. I mean, being able to find it. Really, really good snipes from far away. That is incredible from Chronix, but at this point, it's his third game in a row. He's so comfortable on this Strix that, I mean, no one is going to pull him out. He's in a lazy boy, pop the legs back. Like, he is fully into Strix right now. And you got to figure something out about it. I mean, he's 5-3-4, but top damage, 6-2-5 for both Evil Eye and Joel's. You've got, now with Evil Eye kind of putting his mark on this, way more to worry about than just the sniper. And the Maeve, as much as she's able to do, as much as we've seen Simsy kind of slip into that backline, hasn't been enough.
Right, and that was sort of what I was going to bring up, is that that's what they're trying to do with Simsy. That's why you pick Guillotine. Yeah. Complete decimation of G-Bunny there. That's one less frontliner for the Pittsburgh Knights as Rhino continues his dominance. Serini actually turns, gets some kills here. Midnight, good shanty music coming out from Simsaloo. But unfortunately, good music is all that's good about that Midnight as the Pittsburgh Knights killed off, forced back. Chronix can zone out, knows about the deep Maeve flank here. Simsaloo's gonna get pinched if Evil Eye looks down to his left. Didn't happen. 42% for Kanga, up 2-0 here on Stone Keep. Assert dominance, rocks down, no stun, but maybe a little zone.
Being able to find this, but still kind of at risk right now. The best thing about Guillotine, not just the 4-strike kill that you get on tanks, but really it's the ult charge rate right now. He's sitting at about 50%, but did go down at the beginning of this fight. Ricotta finally kind of coming online for the rest of this. A couple of good shots will seal the deal and bring the Knights back into this.
And what a perfect flank from a Cassie. Plenty of low health bars to take advantage of. Joel's is finally killed. Dread Serpent, Flashbang, all that's left for Kanga Esports to try to retake. Fast cap for the Knights are going to put them in a great spot. 78%. Garrett trying to pick and choose his moments correctly. Simsaloo with the great flank. It's another great example of the Maeve way in the back line. Gets rid of the healer right back from spawn. Evil Eye's going to be able to whirl himself through. A couple kills now. Starting to tumble from Kanga. And this is all without their healer. No Dread Serpent. They just all aggress at once.
Wow.
And they retake that point, get point number 3 on the board, and are pushing for back-to-back 4-0s.
And Zerini was chilling back there. He was fine where he was, but it was just too late. No objective time really coming through for the Knights. Cuss got a majority of that, but that was during the first point. So looking at point number 2, it has been all on Garrett and Joel's. And so far, that has been the controls really coming down from them. Give a little bit of credit to the Inara, but the Knights just haven't been able to stand on the point. They haven't been able to get there. I mean, even now, let's say G-Bunny is able to get a little bit more done. Evil Eye has the get out of jail free card, the get rid of a tank free card as it stands, being able to come through. If he just stays alive here, it's almost more trouble for the Knights.
Good block there as well. Mitigate some of that damage. And you know, that's like a master class in the mobility and the still survivability of Xin. You know, Billow is nerfed, but he's still mobile. He can still survive in some of these engagements. But you have to play it inch perfect. And that's what Evil Eye is doing right now.
And he's holding on to this ult. This ult in the next, at this rate, 30 to 40 seconds. But in the next minute and 20 seconds is going to be a thing that will get rid of G-Bunny, maybe get rid of Zerini, and it's going to make it so easy to push this payload in. They just have to win these fights on the back line. Maybe a kill on the Simsaloo would absolutely help seal the deal here, but he's going to get stunned out, killed off after Billow there. And it's going to be a good little dampener from the Knights.
Poor Garrett just wants to play the game. That was a hefty dive from PK. They send Ash and Simsaloo to the back line. G-Bunny rushes in under the guise of Midnight, and they find some kills. Now you let Kanga were using a couple of their ultimates, Dread Serpent and Flashbang, notably. So those won't be immediately ready, but Kanga's still in a great spot in this game. Even if this one doesn't go in, they have at least 2 more attempts at the next mid. Try to do it then. They did it in overtime last time, so can't count them out of this one just yet. But if these kills continue to tumble the way they are, Pittsburgh Knights are poised for their first points.
Yeah, 20 seconds left. Ricotta looking to be in a very, very good position, finding some good shots here. Joel's does anything and everything he can, but is going to get knocked around. Rhino, at this point, I don't see him being able to go back and touch. So even with some return kills here, 5 seconds left to get through this wall that the Knights have put up. I don't think there's overtime.
And there's not. So finally, the Knights get themselves on the board. A good defensive stall there after it looked like Kanga might just roll themselves to another 4-0 victory. Ricotta, that man there on the Cassie, starting to come alive a little bit in this one, and they need him because there's plenty of damage from Kanga returning onto the Knights.
That was, I think, one of the most impactful decisions as well. Just he saw low health bar Strix go down, could continue shooting to the left, kill Maldamba, then look over. Somebody else probably gets the kill in that case, but just kind of the flick, shot, turn back. Okay, now Maldamba, it's your turn. You've been hanging out, so we can take care of you. Ricotta, though, is right now kind of hit or miss for the team. Good damage, highest on the team, but still sitting behind 3 members of Kanga. Good kills in that round, but it only really happened the one time. They still lose the point. His consistency right now is a little bit faded, so I'd like to see a little bit more. And actually going in for the kill on Simsalud here from Evil Eye.
He is the delete key in this case for Evil Eye and uses it on Simsalud there. G-Bunny zones out Chronix. 4 more shots, though, and he's actually the one who ends up dying. Dances behind the shield here, doesn't find it. Joel's instead returns the damage onto the Ash, and now Ricotta, the last surviving member of the Knights. But look at this, 81% gore onto the point. Kanga, despite winning the fight, need to find the way to get in, get a touch. Midnight drops down right into the Dread Serpent. Simsalud suddenly running for his life as Gareth spreading the heals from the backline. Evil Eye's doing the killing thing. A double kill now for the Xin. Might make it 3 as Chronix does that instead. On to Terminus. Just enough to keep them off the point now. Wanted to wait for that reanimate to expire. Now they start to zone. 1 more reanimate for the Knights is maybe going to be the only difference maker. A seismic crash for some zoning for Kanga.
G-Bunny already about 2/3 health. That's going to take a lot to be able to get back in here. And like you said, being able to kind of hold on to this as much as they can as Kanga. That 99 is going to be the 6th man on the point. They cannot leave the objective. And with Rhino going down right there, it's advantage over to the Knights.
G-Bunny gets traded out, though. Keep things even. Zarini slams down, has the reanimate. He's going to play a little extra aggressive, knowing that he has the reset key if he does end up going down. Overtime expiring for both teams. Zarini does end up dying. Reanimate comes out. No damage, no kills for that one. Chronix, though, firing away at Ricotta. Simsalud with the dive up onto the high ground. Trades out onto the sniper. Joel, such a long life here down on the point, but the rest of the kills are falling elsewhere. That's a good spike, though. Evil Eye back now, re-engaging. Cuss-Cutie gets the kill onto the Xin. Simsalud trying to find some last-minute daggers. Overtime wanting to expire, but it's not going to just yet.
I mean, a couple more kills. Joel's Rhino going down. That's all you needed. That seals the deal. It took him a little while to get there. But they finally kind of kicked down the door Kanga had built up. Kicked down the wall, I guess, at that point. And finally are able to find themselves on the aggressive side of this game. For the first time, it's 7 points.
Yeah. It's a welcome change, I'm sure, for the Knights to try themselves a little offense. Simsalud has not held his trigger on these Midnights, using them aggressively whenever he sees fit. Now is no exception. Evil Eye at 14, 8, and 16 on the Xin. Starting to hit some good shots as well. It's a double kill in this re-engagement. Looking like a good defense for Kanga.
So far, it's been 4 mids where Kanga have just kind of dominated everything. That one honestly came through and was just wrong. At the very end, the tail end, things started kind of slipping away. Joel's is doing a lot. There were just moments where maybe Evil Eye, after he got the kill onto G-Bunny, that's where it's like, where does he target? Who does he get the kill on? Where's his damage going?
Right.
Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to fight back all of the Knights. But if you get a moment like this, you lose Rhino, but Joel's goes in and gets a double kill. That makes up for those small inconsistencies.
Joel's been having a great set of games here today. It seems like even in the losses, Joel's has been at the forefront. A lot of the offense even, not only the defense for the Barrack, but a lot of the offense that Kanga's been looking to put out. Always near the top of those damage charts for him. 6 streak burning away. Kanga, great start to this defense. No point to win, no game to win for Kanga. PK could tie things up, but wouldn't you guess it, Joel's right back into the kill column. Puts Pittsburgh Knights right on the back foot.
You're just keeping them back here. 30 seconds left. This is almost textbook as a defense. Is what you want to do on Stone Keep. Just enough aggression that you're stopping them and dismounting them here when they come out of their base. Not so aggressive that you're wiping and letting them get back with Halo. Dancing right around the perfect moment. The only downside is that Joel's used that dome shield earlier, and he's only been able to get back to 50% here. If it goes into overtime, he's going to be able to inch that closer and closer to the 100 mark. But, you know, Kanga's ideal world, that doesn't end up happening. And for a final point fight, it'll be a little lapsed at the beginning. He won't have that maybe when he needs it most.
Overtime touch for Simsy. Now it's Cuscuti moving forward. Just the squishies at this point. Overtime reset. Actually, Zerini back in on the engagement. Staggered out are the Knights. If this Terminus is able to buy himself some time, actually this defense gets a lot more difficult for Kanga. Not only do they buy time, they buy a couple of kills, 2 in fact. There's Ricotta and G-Bunny combined for some Pittsburgh Knights offense. Point now where you have to consider what ultimates you use. The Knights definitely within striking range, whereas they weren't a moment ago. One more big fight from them turns this one around. That's a Rhino flank in behind Simsaloo, looking for some shots onto Ricotta as well. The Inara just trying to trade targets back and forth. G-Bunny up to the high ground. Front line for front line, that's all she wrote. I think Zerini stepped back just for a second.
Surprised the world. I mean, it's Zerini being there and Joel's dying results in the push. It's just that one moment where it's maybe a lapse in judgment from Kanga, not jumping down in time, maybe distracted by the fight. I mean, Evil Eye was around there. Evil Eye was in a position to maybe touch through. Zen used to be the guy to kind of hold on to it, but with Billow kind of being as limited as it is now, he's not going to stand on the point for 6 seconds, swirling around you as smoke and then finally disappear. But they've got great slash lines. They've got a lot going for them in terms of fight. They just have to focus on the mid.
There's 5 rezills for Kanga. Only 2 for the Knights. Where does Evil Eye put his spite? That's certainly something to keep your eye on. Right now, engaging with Simsaloo. Might look to do that one the old-fashioned way and then try to use the spite elsewhere. There is another reanimate ready. Simsaloo looks to get aggressive. Spite catches Simsaloo through the midnight. Instant execute there. Zerini looking for a little bit of zone. Chronix comes to the aid for some peel. Forces Zerini back. Flashbang right at the feet of G-Bunny. He can't see a thing. Evil Eye gets that kill. 2 now for the Zin in this fight. Some healing from Gera from long range is going to stop Ricotta from finding the kill. As an answer, good Dread Serpent. Maybe a better wall from Kanga is going to keep Ricotta at bay. Get the kill as well. Still on the point, though, are the Knights as Kanga now look to regress.
And they've got to figure something out. Zerini still has his reanimate. In fact, the only ult other than the Seismic Crash still available on the board right now.
Same as last time.
So killing Zerini is not going to be enough. You have to kill him in a way that does not make him want to use his ult. Seismic Crash is going to come out now. It's
going to connect on to G-Bunny. Is Rhino going to trade out his life for it? He does. Joel's on the barrack. He's able to make good on that stun, but it's still 2 kills for the Knights here. 81%, 84 and climbing for them. Joel's might have to rocket boost his way in there. Good body blocks, though, prevents it. And the Knights seal themselves up a win after it looks like Kanga were going to run away with it.
I mean, they definitely get themselves up, 3-0 incredibly fast. 3-1. And, well, much like the set yesterday, 3-1 is their deficit here. They fall down that 4-3. Right. And it's just good placement. Maybe using, I mean, you go Guillotine. Guillotine is good for, well, as you saw, executing pretty much anyone and everyone. But it's mainly used for tanks, or at least it used to be when it was picked up a lot. And that's kind of where my mind is at. If you use that for G-Bunny, maybe it has a different story. But you're using it on Simsaloo almost every single fight. Figure out a different way to deal with the Maeve. Hit him with more shots. Find those trades working in your favor. Maybe you could invest that ult somewhere else.
Apparently there's something to this Terminus as well. 71% win rate going into that game, but what was it, a 4% pick rate? Or
now it's gonna go
something
up.
Tiny like that. Going to maybe go up a little bit. Zerini certainly one of the champions of that champion. They strike back here on Stonekeep. 4 straight points, grab themselves the lead here in this set. Game 4, but first, you got to wait.
The Paladins Premier League is brought to you by Evil Mojo, developers of Paladins.
Welcome back to the Paladins Premier League, guys. Pittsburgh Knights now 2-1 against Kanga. At first, it's looking a little bit shaky for the boys in yellow and gold right there. Well, not yellow and gold, yellow and black, I should say, Kresnik. But at this point, was looking a little bit shaky. 3-1, Kanga was up, and then eventually they just came right back and took that win.
Yeah, definitely a little bit on the back of a weird start to that fight for them, too.
Yeah.
They both rolled out the opposite place I expected, except Zarini was like, guys, we're supposed to hold keep. And then he was just alone in front of the entirety of Kanga. But other than getting a little overwhelmed in that first fight, they had a really strong objective focus. Even the Inara Barrack wasn't really trading on the point the same way we would have expected them to. I thought it was a good performance across the board from Kanga, but the Knights just had the objective in their eyes, and they played what they needed to. They were right where they had to be.
9-14-21 for Zarini. 19-14-11 for Ricotta. Cuss 8-18. Simsalou 14-15-14. G-Bunny 5-19-16. The young enters themselves do still end up winning, of course. The amount of deaths it is they have, a little bit more than normal, what you'd expect to see. But, of course, they're the ones with the win here. They're the ones that are currently 2-1 against Kanga. Of course, Ricotta, 19-14, of course. Doing really, really good. Cassie played a very big role in this game.
Yeah, being one of the few members of the team that was positive after all that, I think, is a big part of it. And big game Cassie versus Inara Barrack is kind of huge. Also, never really was close enough to Evil Eye, to be under threat from that guillotine, like Simsy was for a large portion of it. Playing safe enough that he was always able to clean up on the aggression from his tanks. Maybe his tanks got a little over-aggressive. I mean, looking at the stat lines there at the end, but they won him the game. They made so much room for the DPSs that even after the deaths, Kanga would pull back to deal with someone, turn around, and then 4 people on Knights would be on the point. They're like, we just got 3 kills and we lost 1 guy. How are we the ones in our choke?
Right.
Why are they on point? They would panic, retake, and Knights would just pick them apart one by one.
Yeah, I mean, once again, the positioning they had definitely worked out for him. PK, once again, end up taking 2-1 over Kanga in this case. Game 3 out of the way. Game 4, the map will be Frozen Guard.
Big wide one, and considering the bans that we had before, which I do have up right here, 2 wider maps banned. Bazaar and Fish. Frozen and Ascension are really the 2 that are left that have that style of gameplay. So we're heading toward them. Both teams banned 1 of those maps. It wasn't one team banning 2 of that, so they both might be mildly comfortable on the style. We'll have to see how they adapt to it. Maeve, first banned by Kanga, trying to get Simsalou off of that champion, even after, I guess it was a okay performance, I would say, last map. Not earth-shattering, but definitely did what he needed to. Knights probably going to ban the power tanks as they had been on their second pick. And honestly, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I assume that's just a misclick. We'll see in a moment.
Prepare for trouble and make it double.
Team Maeve. If there was 2 Midnights going on at once, that'd be rough. And yeah, Makoa right next to Maeve, it makes sense that would happen. And so we'll probably see Atlas banned for my Knights as well, because Kanga have no reason to ban that now. Kanga still have kind of a flex ban. Could be Willow, could be Genos if they wanted to deny that from the Knights. A lot of options, I think, still open for Kanga.
Yeah, I mean, of course, in this case, Maeve, Ash are both gone. Makoa, Atlas, the usual suspects in this case. Of course, Maeve being taken away from the hands of somebody like Simsalou. Of course, that means at the same time getting rid of Ash as well. Don't want to be able to deal with that assert dominance either. So in this case, Kanga, they've got plenty of time to really think about who it is they're going to pick, and it might be Strix again every single game. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Kanga, tried and true, baby. They want to be able to stick with it. Strix is going to be their first character, and of course, they're giving it to none other than Krone.
Which is crazy, because it's only a 33% win rate so far in this set. It's been doing okay for them, but honestly, I felt like Evil Eye played better on Zin, on Stone, than Chronix did. I think that's just the Knights kind of figuring it out. And clearly Cuss thinks they figured it out too. Big smile on his face after looking at that Strix first pick. Let's have a couple options here. Big map. Khan is left. Only one really left in the strong off-tank position, so I could see him going down. Unless we see a kind of a similar repeat to what happened on Warder's Gate with Ruckus going early, but I think that early Ruckus pick was specifically because of Warders, because of the flexibility from the crystals. So I wouldn't be shocked to see Khan and either a backline, because they're really strong on this map, or if they really want to go bold, they could pick the Eevee, but it's going to be really tough to cross that much distance against a Strix on this map.
Yeah, Frozen Guard, I mean, he's going to have a lot of room to be able to work with. The rotations will be a lot more in his favor as well. Of course, Khan, somebody who they quite commonly give to G-Bunny and Eevee as well to be able to deal with that. I see you giving the The little, like,
The come here.
Yeah, come here. Come to me. Yes, Eevee, Con, of course, are going to be the first 2 characters it is that Knights are going to be able to lock for them. Of course, Eevee, have that mobility. Con, always give it to G-Bunny. He does pretty tremendously on this Con whenever they give it to him.
Yeah, Eevee would normally struggle on this map, especially into the Strix, but with the Maeve banned, I think they just want that mobility. I mentioned this yesterday, but just having this level of mobility on your team at this level opens things up so much. You just you need to be able to follow up on your team's aggression and also kite around people. Like, you can be on one side of the map and immediately go to the other. The options of how you want to execute against the enemy team grow exponentially when you have a flanker like Eevee on your team. So big to take it this early. Barrack and potentially Ceres coming out for Kanga. That would be interesting. Io instead.
Okay,
I'm sure they were just
Io,
clicking
so,
around.
yeah.
I mean, it kind of makes sense on really wide maps. The pocket potential is kind of huge. I would expect that to be paired with a double point tank situation if they ended up with that again.
Careful.
Don't expect it now at this point though. And they go with the Io to have that point pressure, help their Barrack out. Barrack will be able to do a lot of damage, and that 25% damage reduction stacked onto his already pretty solid mobility and survivability is going to be huge, I think, for the point tank fight, which will probably end up being an Aura.
Yeah, Genos, of course, being Hover Leon as well. So they've got that hit scan presence. They want to be able to get a Ricotta, of course. Luminary buff, can only say it once before you say it a million times. Super strong talent to be able to take on Genos. And really, the only talent it is that you can take on Genos. Unless you want to go binary star, no judgment here. But the thing is that, of course, in this case, it's going to be good to be able to spread that damage amp out onto Eevee, onto Leon, on the Con, whoever their frontliner might be, which is more than likely going to be, at least I would think, would be a Nara.
Unless Kanga take it here and play off of that IO point sustain double point tank, but I think that's too sedentary on this map. It's not really going to be able to chase the way it needs to with a super mobile composition out of Knights, minus the Con, but Con can keep himself alive so much that it's kind of irrelevant, even if they do dive onto him. Ruckus going to be the follow-up for Kanga. Definitely the better off tank left. And Buck, actually not too, now that I think about it, not too surprising. You came out with Io on Fish Market before, paired with the damage reduction from Deep Breath, the Rejuvenate from Rapid Sustain. It can do a decent amount. Very wide map, though.
Yeah.
So he's going to struggle because of that.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's going to be a little bit hard for him to be able to keep that going and just jump where he needs to, of course. They're going to go for triple DPS, which is interesting because you don't typically see that without a Furia, because Inflame is just that all-in, let's go button. I mean, they can roll triple DPS if they want. Buck being able to, like you said it before, okay, they're going to go for a Nara, like it was that I was saying before. But regardless, getting distracted. Buck, he's going to have a harder time being able to try and close those distances at the same time, especially against Leon. Like, I feel like he's going to get shot several times before he can actually make it to where he would need to be, which is in the backline.
And the reason, the way that Kanga's going to play around that is just by having everybody go in. That's really, that's what it's going to be. Everyone's going to go in. Conceptually, yeah, I mean, the Buck will get shot on the way in. The Ruckus will get shot on the way in, but you can't shoot everybody at once. I mean, that's a strategy. If you're playing in any game, a game I used to play competitively, the strategy was, well, their sniper's up and he's good. But if we throw 8 people across the point at the same time, he can't kill all of us. I think that's going to be the thing. Just going to walk straight into them and just overwhelm them. The DR and the Buck. Yeah,
I mean, that makes sense. There's power in numbers. You heard it here first from Craig. As long as they throw 8 people at the Knights, it's going to be able to work out. But fortunately, there are only 5. Game 4 on its way, 2-1 already with the Knights. Let's see how they're going to do in this game.
Well, the numbers check out, Fun. 2-1. They only got 5 people on their roster, not 8. I don't think that's enough. I mean,
I can do this. 2 + 1 is 3, + 5 is 8. There you go. Just put them all together. Yeah.
The Illuminati pops up on the screen. Gormeister's got it right. A little bit of Buck, though. Kanga continuing to kind of shift around that meta. They kind of adopted this IO. Strix has been picked for them every single game. Now a Buck, and it's not on Shattered Desert where we've seen Buck previously. This is a Frozen Guard Buck against all odds. We'll be running bulk up. Goddess Blessing as well for the IO.
I feel like I have seen Buck on Shattered Desert, as you had mentioned, on Timber Mill.
Yep.
It's been a while since I have seen him here on Frozen Guard, but he does still have a lot of merits. Specifically coming through Deep Breath, Rapid Sustain, damage reduction, plus he's going to get increased healing, along with bulk up. It just makes him hard to kill. That was what was so big about him before. Before it was even more damage reduction. But much like Zen kind of got hit with the nerf bat, see where he goes down. Doesn't mean he's bad, as you can see Evil Eye coming through and helping get first blood.
Evil Eye, the ultimate flex today, whether it's Zin, whether it's Buck. Apparently can do it all. 2 kills already in this one. 75% for Kanga.
Also worth noting, depending on how many people have played Buck in the last X amount of months since we've really seen him. 5 shots now that he has. That extra shot means a lot. And it's one of those things, I mean, this change had to have happened ages ago, because I don't remember doing the update show. Like, I know I was on it, and I remember talking about it. I don't remember which one it was, when it was. But that extra hit that can come through, especially with their headshots, it just allows you to either stay in the fight a little longer, or it's solidifying a kill that maybe before he couldn't have gotten. I think for a lot of merits, he's got his place in the meta. It's just trying to find that true home.
His home right now is Frozen Guard as Kanga Esports strike first onto the board. 1-0 up over the Knights. He's getting aggressive with that leap. Cleans up Simsalou. A couple more shots for a double onto Rakata. Sneaky amount of damage from range, too. I mean, it's not a heavy chunk. Obviously, you know, the shotgun style, you want to be up close and personal, but you can plug away a few good shots from further back on Buck if you need to.
I mean, let's face it, top damage in the game only by 200, but he's 5-1. So he's
That's how Zin started.
Taking a couple of these. Zin ended, what was it, 2010 and 21? Even like, I mean, all of the slash lines for Kanga were phenomenal during the last game. They're looking phenomenal this time around, but yeah, it is not the end of the game. Team deathmatch, KDAs only get you so far. You have to play the objective a little better here. But hey, they have the first point. They're in a minute left. This is where they are lacking a little bit, though. I don't know how well they're going to push.
Right.
I think they can control mid-fights pretty well. I think the first half of the push might even work pretty well for them. Strix is going to kind of pay its dividends here in the latter half, maybe the last 60% overall, as he comes through and maybe causes a little bit more distress for Knights, forcing them into their base. But there's not a lot of get me back on the rails for them on Kanga.
Well, the Knights are going to be happy if they can force Chronix to have a quiet game on the Strix, unless it comes at the hand of a much louder game from anyone else on their team, including Evil Eye on the Buck. Still hanging around that top damage conversation and plugs away a great shot on a Cuss QD, weaving it through a couple members of the Knights. Perfect target for them. 2 tiny health bars up on the high ground, and Nara and Leon. Simsalou flies over. Evil Eye trying to hold down this right-hand side. If he realizes there are a couple members that are very low, that's going to be his cue to jump in, and there it is. Gets the kill onto Rakata. Simsalou forced to fly away. Payload being contested by the Fox right now as Evil Eye continues his flank. One more shot on a Simsalou. Doesn't have the time or the space to turn around. And this Buck is wreaking havoc on this top side. Gara a double kill. Good wall from Zerini. Lifts him up, drops him down. He's dead. Kanga Esports go up 2.
Man, there's so many moments to break down like what was good for Kanga and all that. I think Evil Eye's aggressiveness, the headshots he's getting, maybe the Knights ignoring, like, it's just a Buck, who cares? But he does a good chunk of damage and maintained Buck Wild going into round 2, which for an ult and the way he's been playing, if you're looking at headshots, that's going to eat through some members of the Knights if they line up the wrong way. But then even on the flip side, just the amount of control they have, the damage reduction that comes down from IO might be the biggest thing that is saving them. I mean, so many times you'll see Rhino, you'll see Joel's get maybe too close to dead, almost finally vanquished for the Knights. And then even though their health bar isn't going up, it's not going down either. It's just keeping them alive, keeping them afloat.
Well, 3 and 4 is the slash line to have on the Knights. Zerini, Rakata, and Simsalou all hanging around that. Little do-si-do around the side with G-Bunny. Evil Eye plugs away some damage. Rakata first blood in this one. Not Enlightenment used just yet. Gara trying to top off some of his tanks on the point. Dome Shield's going to help peel for Joel's a little bit. Going to open up the door as he walks right on through and kicks down Zerini through time and space. Rips through, does not connect. As Evil Eye looks to re-engage Rakata into the Enlightenment, turns around enough damage. Rakata dies, but set up a great kill for Simsalou. That's 2 now for the Eevee.
Being able to get rid of Evil Eye is going to be able to open up so much room now that you don't have this Buck kind of jumping around on you. Joel's going to be able to kind of have a parting gift in the form of Cuss, but there's just not enough members of Kanga here to contest this with a comeback mechanic. All you need is a good dismount onto what looks like Evil Eye right there, yeah, as he comes around and I don't know if there's any overtime chances.
I mean, he may be able to leap his way in there. Not with an overpower, he's not. Instant death floor there for Evil Eye. Pittsburgh Knights strike back after Kanga wins swift 2 points on Frozen Guard, looking to tie up the game here. Apparently going up 2-0 is just not the move for Kanga. Still have a chance to make it 3 with a good defense here. But the Knights figure out that mid-fight.
All I can think about is something, you know, Nick was saying pretty here, I believe last week, when we started seeing Io kind of be picked up by more than just Kanga, maybe a couple of other teams kind of looking at her. And it just comes down to her and Atlas are kind of in a similar area where, like, their ults are really good when their ults are the best ult to use in that scenario. And that's it. Otherwise, like, I've been sitting here looking at it, I was like, I wonder why, you know, Gara hasn't ulted yet. And it's just like, when would he have? Why would he have? It's really good at the end of a point fight, 99 to 99, to get them off, or at the end of a payload push to either get them away or to help push it in.
Right.
But for the most part, it's not just going to be this, I'm throwing it out there for the sake of throwing it out there. Oh, like you might have a Buck Wild could help get you kills in the next, you know, 30 seconds. That maybe you charge it up in the process of getting there. You know, it's just not as much room for him to come through. And also, when it comes down to it, the rest of the kit's just so effective at what it does. Sometimes you don't even need your ult.
I mean, it's a objective ceiling ultimate from time to time. That's all we've really seen it used effectively as, at least over the last couple of weeks.
Still waiting for the 5-man B-Gon into the fidget spinner.
Into the fidget spinners, yeah.
Yeah, that would be
It'll happen.
amazing.
It'll happen one of these days. Not yet, though. Maybe if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Gara. He has a knack for hitting a lot of people with his ultimates. Kata and Zarini combining for 2. Simsalute adds 1 as well. 35 seconds left. Payload is moving forward, so G-Bunny was able to commence progress a little bit sooner. Now the rest of the Knights rejoin him. Not a short map, not a long map. Can start to stagger out of control. Kanga likely just going to set up their defense up high. Give up kind of this no man's land ground here in the middle. Effective trades, though. This is going to be hard to fight into a Strix.
Yeah, this is where Simsalute is going to have to go big or go home for the team. That Strix is going to be otherwise not uncontested. It's going to be able to take some long-range damage, but 1,200 to 300, maybe max 600 kind of dealt back towards him is not going to be enough. So Evil Eye may be playing bodyguard to stop the Eevee from getting to the Strix, to let him just pound those shots out as much as he can. Kind of keep anyone and everyone off of the payload for as long as he can as well.
This has been a fun duel to watch. Evil Eye versus Simsalute, the Buck versus the Eevee. Not something I thought I would be saying today, but here we are. Simsalute and Rakata combined forces to get the kill onto Rhino here. This looks like a good defense from Kanga. Just draw in the Knights, force out the ice block from Simsalute. But once he expires, so does overtime, and Kanga now 1 point away from tying up the set.
I'm trying to think, and kind of, I guess, in tangent to the game. I would say Koga is the only PPL level flank we haven't seen come out. I think we've gotten a little bit of taste of everyone, probably forgetting someone, but I mean, Lex even had his time to shine. And I think still has, again, a home somewhere if found properly. Teams just have to figure out how to make it work. I think there's still room for a Torvald pocket to maybe come through one day. You just got to play it right at the right time, the right draft, right map, right team. I guess all of those factors kind of coming into it. And right now, it kind of feels that's the way Buck is. It's just the right team on the right map with the right draft to make it look good, to showcase that he does still have a place.
Right.
It's not going to be an every game sort of thing, and if Evil Eye can kind of keep this up, it's not the Buck that is causing any trouble for them. So I wouldn't mind maybe seeing what good Buck Wild he could potentially have come through here.
Yeah, it's been a quiet last couple of points after a roaring start to the last mid, or the first mid rather, for Evil Eye. Buck Wild begins, gets him a kill, or helps out Rhino rather, get a kill onto G-Bunny. Chronix in the meantime back on the other side of the map, finding some good blood shots. Make it 2. Bye-bye Simpsy, make it 3. Chronix is not missing right now. Kanga Esports look great on this zone, and they may just seal up the game.
Just a little bit too far there for Rakata. Took one step past Zarini, didn't have his bodyguard anymore. Now they're getting zoned out. Already dismounted, already locked away. That's 96%.
Yeah, bye-bye. Pittsburgh Knights on frozen guard. You didn't expect the buck. And Kanga Esports make it a best of 3, win game 4, tie it up at 2.
This comes down to Evil Eye. First off, he's playing better than I've seen Evil Eye play in weeks, I would even argue.
Yeah.
It's just one of those moments. He's been pretty inconsistent in the past, but this time around we're seeing him very, very good slash line on Zen, even though maybe some of the target choice wasn't great. That game on Buck, very impactful, good Buck Wild towards the end. If it gets rid of G-Bunny, it's worth the investment. That's really going to be like the goal against the Knights.
And, you know, maybe it's not quite as explosive, but the drafting from Kanga is kind of akin to, you know, mid-split 1 of NIP, changing up the draft, throwing random things in there, notably in the flex position. This time it's the Buck, maybe some IO. Sticking with the Strix, that's pretty standard for them now. But changing things up, catching the Knights maybe a little bit off guard in Game 4. One more tiebreaker coming up right after this.
Skillshot, the official production partner of the Paladins Premier League.
Shout-outs to production for having that amazing soundtrack already. And shout-outs to Kanga for being able to tie it up 2-2 against the Pittsburgh Knights on Frozen Guard.
I kind of want to go back to break to keep listening to that
yeah,
song.
that's what I'm saying, right?
But I guess we have to talk about that draft. And they executed it really well.
Yeah.
They went straight in with that Buck Ruckus into the back line. And Knights really didn't have an answer, I felt. Honestly, Kanga executed the really aggressive style really well. And I think they should have seen it coming when that IO got picked. I mean, that really is what IO enables. But I think they were just like, well, they got Strix again. I guess they're going to poke us out. And then Evil Eye and Rhino were on their face the entire game.
I'm going to take a look at post-game stats when I said it before. Stop giving him Strix. It's been 4 games. He's gotten Strix every time. And just like this one, he's top damaging every time. Stop giving Chronic Strix. Just ban him.
No, man, they have to ban Talos. No, okay. Sorry. Wrong day. Wrong day. That's Monday.
Yeah, okay.
I would definitely see them changing it up, maybe trying to deal with it. I mean, Evil Eye had top kills. It wasn't Chronix completely topping the stats in every top kills on his team. Simslu actually got top for Knights and overall in the game. But yeah, they definitely need to find something to do about this Strix, I think. It's putting on a lot of pressure, and clearly anything can go with it.
Yeah, I mean, 9-4, 8-5, 6-4, 10-6, and 5-5-13. But you guys just heard what I just said before, the 5-5-13, right? I said 10-6. Evil Eye on the Buck doing what a lot of people didn't think was possible, which was win with Buck.
I mean, we've seen Buck win before. This is Kanga's second win with Buck overall, I believe. They played him with IO on Fish Market, and that combination is really tough to deal with. It really harkens back to like the Chinese team that ran Torvald, Ying, Buck.
We're going deep, Lore.
Well, that was when Buck had his first kind of time in the meta, and it was with the same style of play. It was the dive in and keep him alive and sustaining in their face. Yeah, QG Craze, I believe, was the team that did that. And it kind of took everyone off guard, and you can see those strats still coming back out. Just having a sustaining Buck in your face, 25% DR, stacking with the DR coming from the recover in his build. So hard to burn through. It's really just a huge threat right in front of them. And the Ruckus is taking aggro too. Just too much for them to deal with while also getting destroyed by Chronix on Strix.
Also, that's why they also drafted that IO. They stuck Luna directly on point. They would just peel back, fight when they needed to around the point. And then most of the time, you didn't see most of them touching except for Luna. Luna would be the one that was sitting on point capping. They would be running you down, and you're like, well, guess I'll die then. What else am I supposed to do at this point?
Well, I checked my planner for today, and it's actually
it's all
die
death.
for 24 hours.
That's
so
crazy.
I guess that's what I have to do today.
Well, we'll have to see if they want to continue that planner on this next map here, which is Serpent Beach in this case.
Very vertical map. One of the 3 standards. Actually, the first time we've seen one of the 3 standard maps so far in this set. So interesting that it took us so long to get here. Jaguar and Bright still both available. Have to see where we go as time goes on. But for now, worried about the draft here. Surprised to see what. And okay, thank you. I was going to say, I really hope they ban Strix, take it away from
Maybe
Kanga.
they heard me coming back from the hallway, where I was like,
this is their break, so they could have heard you on the TV in the break
because I
room.
was walking by. I didn't tell it to them, but I was like, crazy. They gotta get rid of Strix. It's been 4 games. He's had it every time. He's top down. Okay, I'm not gonna get into that. Whatever.
And I don't think anything else that Kanga can pull out would be too worrisome for Knights. It's all stuff that they've dealt with before. I mean, yeah, they've gotten 2 wins against the Strix, but I think that's more of strong presence on the other sides of the map rather than specifically dealing with Chronix on Strix.
Right.
Kanga respond with a Maeve ban, and I think that kind of says that inevitably we're going to see Atlas and Makoa more than likely as the last 2.
Yeah. I mean, Strix gone, like we were just mentioning, and like I was harping on because I didn't like the fact that they let him have it 4 games in a row. Not salty at all, by the way. Maeve, in this case, is going to be banned on Kanga's side. Makoa is going to be the final ban for Knights in this case. And Kanga, like you said, we're pretty much going to expect to see the Makoa Atlas. There it is. And now Knights pretty much have free reign to know that now a Strix won't be hitting them from a distance for a pretty hefty chunk of damage.
I'm curious to see what they're going to first pick. We've seen a couple of DPS first picks. With Maeve banned and how important verticality is on this map, are Knights ready to just ball out and first pick Eevee?
Maybe. I mean, if they feel like they have the situation to do so. I mean, of course you're gonna stick Simsy on the Eevee. You're gonna put Ricardo on something he's more comfortable with, like a Leon, so on and so forth. Then Kresnik, when you're right, you're right. You were on the money once again. Eevee is the first pick for Knights in this case. 110% right, my friend.
It makes sense with the Maeve ban. I mean, they've been super high prio on whatever the remainder of the thing that Kanga bans is, so that they've taken out Eevee. Hitting on Maeve, Eevee's going to be the follow-up straight away. They have a lot of mobility that no other champion really can get. Yes, Kanga can get Buck again, but on Serpent Beach, I'd really rather, I think, the Eevee so much more flexible in the way that she can attack a team on either side, whether it's on the offense or the defense.
You bring
Genos
to my
Barrick,
doorstep.
a composition or at least a duo that is
to yours.
extremely terrifying because of how much damage Barrick already does. Giving it to Joel's once again, he's going to be able to pop off just like he did. Even without the Genos, very first game, got a triple kill. He clearly is a monster on this character. You give Garrett the Genos, you give Joel's the Barrick, and you got yourselves a pretty good duo already. Knights, in this case, already having locked Eevee first, and really it's going to be a moment to see what it is that they're going to be planning for now.
If they want to stay flexible, then they should probably take their support in their point tank here. Or maybe their off tank, specific because there's no off tank taken on the other side. So Khan will most likely be the pick for Knights, and they can actually even wait on their support too. Go for both tanks, Khan and Ash. Taking here a lot of aggression potential for them, and if Kanga want an off tank, now they're going to be stuck with either Fernando, Ruckus,
Come on, let's fight.
or they're going to do the Inara Barrack again, but they've already taken Genos. That's a really not the best support to be combined with them.
Right, Khan, Ash, both of them being taken on the Knights side. 2 off tanks, 1 flank already. Of course, you've seen this before, but this situation has normally led to a Furia pick, at least through the support's perspective. Stick that, or at least give that to Cuss. He played it in one of the games beforehand, so I can see it definitely being a factor, at least around this time around. Kanga, Genos Barrack once again using up some of their bank time, trying to consider their options here into the Khan and to the Ash. Could be Cassie. You could give it to Krane if you really, really wanted to. In this case, I mean, being able to break that Khan shield is going to mean more than anything. Ash, of course, has a shield too, but it's not as strong as the shields that you see on Barrack and Khan.
Yeah, definitely for sure not going to do that same level of it. Kanga response here, Cassie. I mean, you said Cassie as an option. Definitely good to have.
1 point
here.
for Fawn.
Big game solid against Khan.
You ready for this, Ziggs?
Good, right at shield breaking the Khan down, and also being able to knock the Ashe out of her assert dominance.
Right. Yeah, that's going to be huge.
If she does land it, having that answer, considering that Khan, the other biggest answer for it, is kind of off the table. Also, taking Cassie away from countering their Ruckus, really, really important too, I would say. Ruckus kind of gets annihilated by Cassie. I'm going to be honest, once he gets caught out in those areas. So having that counterplay on their side really strong. Leon going to potentially be the follow-up for Knights. Very mobile character on this map, able to dash from the high ground all the way down to the low ground, crossing a lot of distance, and just being able to melt any of the squishies, I think is a big deal. Normally matches up a little bit worse into Ruckus, but this map is open enough where you can kind of keep your distance, not let him get that close, especially if you're being backed up by the damage CC and damage and speed boost from the Inflame from the Furia.
Of course. 2 points for Fawn in this case. I guess both the Cassie and the Furia in this case. I'm going to gas myself up a little bit. And the fact that I was right is what I was expecting to see at least. Leon is picked as well. Or Ricotta talked a little bit about how, you second one something comfortable, you give Simsy the Eevee, of course. And you got yourselves a team for sure. Khan, Ashe, Eevee, Leon, Furia to be able to, of course, not necessarily to fight always on point. They can't go around trying to win those sides and then attack the main point. But, oh no, there's a slight misconception is the fact that at least I didn't notice that they had it bad. They let Willow through in this case. They got rid of Strix, which is true. You get rid of them, but Willow is now a capability to be able to terrorize whoever she wants to, and that's going to be hard for Khan and Ashe.
I mean, they have the Leon and the Furia. And Khan. They have a lot of hit scan that can deal with the Willow when she tries to go in with the Fae Flight. Plus, on the mid, it is kind of flat ground versus flat ground. As long as they stay away from that tower that's kind of in the middle of that area, it's going to be tough for the Willow to get those shots for free where she wants them to be. They go fast enough across, get into the Willow, force her back. They can kind of put her in a disadvantage. Willow on low ground is not good. I mean, compared to Willow on high ground versus you. Now she has the option to use the Flutter to kind of equalize it, get above you, but that's only for a moment. They have enough counters to the Fae Flight where I think this isn't the worst decision by the Knights.
Right. I mean, I agree with that too because of the fact that you have that hit scan presence, you have the Leon, you have the Khan, you've got Inflame, you got a Game 5, and we're going to be right into it.
Game 5, the tiebreaker is on. Both teams have kind of at different times either shown absolute signs of life or kind of crumbled under the pressure of the enemy team. We've seen some close games, some .7s, but this has been a very momentum-based set almost. Whatever team gets rolling early on has kind of stumbled and then picked up the pieces. Kanga Esports striking most recently with the Buck on Frozen Guard. They're going to return to the Ruckus here. Serpent Beach is where we're going to break this tie.
That was, the moment, I think. Kanga are showing right now more than ever, I think, even though they lose their set yesterday, that they're in this conversation for one of the top teams. Right now, Virtus Pro kind of, thrashed everybody, and Na'Vi are very heavily up there. But 3rd through 7th are all jumbled up. No one really knows who's going to end up where when it comes down to it. Admittedly, this is one of those moments that if they can close this out, if they can win this set, it's maybe more of a testament to how much they have grown this year, staying together, than we've seen out of some of these teams.
We've obviously seen some of those Game 7 issues with Kanga yesterday, dropping in 7 after going up 3-1. Tied up here. Go down, but are able to swing back. Simsalute getting aggressive early. Double kill for the Eevee. 81% on the point for the Knights. Kanga zoned out. It's looking like that's going to be a 1 on the scoreboard.
And just being able to find that big of a zone. This is actually an important map yesterday, and Kanga said when they were able to kind of take it to SSG on it. This is actually a notoriously good SSG map, so it was impressive to see that then. And a little worrying, I think, to see how commanding the Knights were on that first objective.
Yeah.
I mean, 2-2, you always talk about 2-1 kind of being a big breaker, but going up 3-2 in a set can absolutely be indicative of closing it out. We've seen a lot of 6-game sets more than we've seen 7-game sets.
Agreed.
And so it is entirely possible whoever wins this kind of climbs the mountain, gets to the top, and is able to kind of peek over where they need to go. So Kanga are going to have to kind of pick it up, figure it out, and a lot of it comes down to the same thing that worked for them on Frog Isles, working against them here. It's Cassie, Willow, with an Eevee that's going to be disrupting them the entire time. They don't have anyone to get back there as easily.
Well, it's funny, a second ago you mentioned kind of how that first fight went. We're so used to seeing all this engagement, high ground, waterfall side on this map. The entirety of the engagements up to this point in this game have been on this side of the map. We haven't even really taken a look at the mid because of how aggressive the Knights came out of the gate. Finally, Kanga are able to swing back a little bit. I don't imagine they're going to move too much further forward. Free high ground right here, no reason to leave.
Yo, yeah.
3 kills on the board for Jules, 2 for Rhino. Quieter start for Evil Eye. Simsalou doing the thing for the Knights. He's going to look to keep that flank alive. That mobility, so key. I talk about high ground. That's what you need the Eevee for right about now.
And that's pretty much where she's going to be potentially breaking through, but you have to fight the Cassie, which already is actually going Simsalou's way. And then you have to fight the Willow, but you're approaching that at a completely different fight. Simsalou is following the exact checklist he needs to. And, well, he has a little bit of help from Ricotta, but he gets out of that one clean.
You set both of those up. You got to fight Cassie first, right onto the Willow. Ricotta swoops in, helps with the kills. 2-0 up, go the Knights. Finally, Kanga were able to kind of break that going up 2-0 and losing spell. Last game on Frozen Guard. But what a start from the Knights here on Serpent Beach. Kanga kind of melting into the background. Haven't seen much of anything from them in the offensive sense here. And this is all the angle you needed from that mid-fight. Simsalou getting aggressive right off the bat.
I mean, being able to come through, it's been big for this Eevee. I think making the strides that she has. A lot of this focus onto and getting rid of Chronix has been probably the most impactful. 4-2-2, so not a crazy amount of kills for Simsalou. But he's the one who's going to be game-changing this game. Very much like Evil Eye on Maeve was the one that was causing a lot of the distractions on Frog Isle. There's just so much attention he warrants because you don't get rid of him. He's free-firing from your backline.
Oh, at 26 health, it would have been disastrous if you were able to get away there. That overpower doesn't end up really getting anything. Evil Eye into the Faith Light taken out before he's able to put his stamp on this mid. Ricotta's still in a great spot to fight back down where Jules is the one on the point now, though, trying to poke back at the Knights. Down goes G-Bunny into the mid, forcing back the rest of Kanga. The high ground battle rages on here for the first time in this set. This is where you expect a mid-fight to be taking place. 30-50, Hexafire rips through. Assert Dominance is going to counter that all the way out. Rhino forced to dash. Simsalou hits the shot. And that's a great start on the retake for the Knights.
Unfortunately, there's just not enough healing to keep Jules fully topped off on this point, so it's taking a lot of damage, a lot of poke. And, well, it seems like Gara maybe spread thin trying to heal everybody up. Everyone's incredibly low with how aggressive the Knights are playing, and now they're right back into the position they would be if they were already pushing.
Gara saying, guys, stop getting chunked out. I can only mark a couple of you at any given time. And a complete sweep from the Knights. 87% for them here. Unless you get a miracle couple of dashes from Rhino. It is going to be 3, and it is for the Knights. Looking for 0.4, looking for a sub 10-minute Serpent Beach to put Kanga Esports on watch for set point.
And a very commanding step forward at that. I mean, the 3-0, granted, already this set, I will say, a 3-0 hasn't meant as much in a map score. It is easy to take that away from someone, but this feels very controlling. It's a good draft. And with Ricotta playing the way he is right now, as zoned in as he is right now, Simsalou causing so much trouble for the backline like that. As they charge up these ults once again with the Inflame pops, this is a good Knight's fight. And
they're trading out effectively to start off here as well. Chronix, that's an important kill to get onto Simsalou. He's been wreaking havoc throughout the end here, so getting rid of the Eevee, ever so important. Ricotta as well had a quiet day so far by Ricotta standards. You know, we're used to seeing him blowing slash lines out of the water. 4-1 and 7 for him here. Back to more standard. Zarini, good overpower. Bye-bye Rhino. 4 versus 5 for Kanga on the defense.
So far, probably one of the more important picks, a stellar pick for the Knights to be able to come through. And they're just walking this one forward. Joel's gone. That means there's no
chance just win
to be able to defend this. Yeah, they could just walk this in.
Especially if Evil Eye's not able to find too much from this Faith Light. Chronix and Rhino get a couple of kills. That may just stall things out here. Evil Eye does end up getting some great value out of the Faith Light. Rhino back into it. A Hexafire buys the Ruckus a couple. And what looked like almost a certainly successful push from the Knights. Stalled out just a little bit by Kanga. 45 seconds left. Both teams having to burn ultimates. One trying to defend, one trying to push. At any rate, it's only Dome Shield left right now. Kanga has that one. Assert dominance at 90% for the Knights.
30 seconds remaining.
Look out for that one. Serini could feel free and clear to try to use that to seal up this game.
20 seconds left to kind of go back in. They have to find a good fight, get a couple kills, and get onto the objective. High ground going to be hard to reclaim until Simsulu able to maybe get a pick. And he has to do the first one on his own. He won't have the assistance from Ricotta until he's able to fight.
Flipped it around. It is Serini on the Khan and G-Bunny on the Ashe. I guess that's the double kind of off-tank aggression that the Knights have been fighting with up to this point. It kind of took me back how far forward they were playing. And then you look at their lineup, they got a Khan and an Ashe on their team. Talk about opening up some space.
Yeah.
That's the kind of draft they got.
It's a weird world because that feels like the Knights missing that opportunity, right? Like the window was open and they missed their window to close out the game.
Right.
And that is a little unnerving. Kanga have been up in this position as well, 3-1, where it's like, yeah, you know what? You've been controlling this entire game. There's no chance for things to go wrong. Comeback mechanic is not kind to people. But I think with Inflame up, with Simsulu almost having his Ice Storm, there's actually a few things that can go right here for the Knights. And it plays directly into the hands of Kanga. They might not even need the assert dominance early on, which is perfect for them if they can hold on to it a little while and then use it as like a finalized kind of, I'm going to stand on the point, you can't displace it.
That's aggressive from Rhino around the backside. Evil Eye as well gets the first kill. Faithlight soaring up above. Cuts Cutie trades back. This is the value you look for from a Willow in Faithlight. 3 kills in this re-engagement for Evil Eye. He started to wake up in this game, an 8 streak. Burning away for him on Kanga's side. You mentioned fast cap, that's what Kanga got now. Pittsburgh Knights not entirely swept. Only used their Inflame. In reality, if this fight dredges on you, you could, in theory, get a second Inflame. Overpower for Zerini connects onto Joel's at that. That's an important target to get rid of. Doesn't have the legs to get him off the map. He's right back down, gets the shielding. Rhino and G-Bunny trading out 1-for-1 kills. Ziggs flying above for Kanga now. They're down at a 4v4, or now a 4v5 disadvantage as Joel's drops the Dome Shield.
Still causing some distress for the Barrack here. The healing, again, from Guerra is going to be a lot, but it's not going to be enough. Evil Eye gets rid of Simsulu, but trades his life out for it. If they can just get rid of that tank, it might keep them alive. Through
time and space, goes wide. Serini, as you mentioned, killed off. Evil Eye on the enemy team, so important. Chronix in a great spot on the back of the sundial, firing some free shots away. Hexafire may just seal up this mid. A triple kill for Rhino. Keeps Kanga in this game. And they're pushing with a chance to tie.
I mean, early on, it's a 69, 70% here as they recharge that assert dominance, but it was used at the very beginning of the round. Got a little bit of ground, got aggressive with it. Didn't warrant any kills, didn't do anything, in fact, because Evil Eye just Faithlight slightly to the side, slightly before, and was able to find a lot of kills in return. And those are those little moments where, depending on how that ult goes, determine its value. Right. Like in hindsight, it wasn't a good ult, but at the time, it could have been huge. And so there's a lot of those moments right now going on for the Knights that if you could just turn back time, you could potentially change that one around. Maybe have it work out.
Turn back time. I don't know the next.
I don't know the next line. All I know is me and you yesterday. Was it me and you on the desk yesterday when we were singing that?
No, I don't think it was. I don't think it was. Production's back there singing it still. But I remember the rest of it. At any rate, time is not turned back. Chronix sitting on the back of the sundial prevented any time from being turned there. Helps win the mid for Kanga Esports. You mentioned Pittsburgh Knights maybe missing out on their chance to win the game. That's looking a lot more iffy with how aggressive Rhino's getting here. Zoning out 2 or 3 members. Simsulu blinking around. That's a lot of health to rip through if you're an Eevee, though. Still need 2 more. 850 shots, not going to do it to 2,000 plus health. Knocking on the doorstep now is this payload. Evil Eye with the opening kill yet again.
All they need is maybe 1 kill. That con shield only lasts so long, and Serena's going to go down. They don't have too many bodies here. I was thinking it was going to take a little bit more. I thought there was a little more action before that just rolled in, but Kanga just escorted it perfectly.
Something about teams going up 3-0 and then losing 3-0 straight. Happened to Kanga just a game ago on Stone Keep, happening to Pittsburgh Knights now, right here on Serpent Beach. This is a huge Hexafire from Rhino. Healer first, frontline second, damage dealer third. Take your pick, he's got it all. And what a way to start off the push.
It was the perfect position, I guess really the imperfect position from Cuss when it comes down. He was not in a good spot to be able to get out of there to get to cover. If he was like 2 steps to the right when that starts, then he's able to at least escape a little bit of that. But it was really well done from the rest of the team, distracting the Khan, being able to kind of turn that around, force the objective. You have to jump down there if you're Ricotta, and unfortunately, that's never a good sign for your team.
This is the last mid-fight regardless. Up, down for G-Bunny. But that's just to keep himself alive. That wasn't all that aggressive. Through time and space from Garrett. Doesn't connect either. Dome Shield burning away on the point for Joels. Buys himself some space. Chronix starting to re-engage here. Cuss Cutie. That's a gift on his doorstep for Chronix. You'll take the healer 7 days a week if he's going to be right there. Forced to dodge, roll backwards. And now Ricotta finds a shot. Enlightenment connects onto Joels, but gets the failsafe shots. Not enough shielding, though. Ricotta and G-Bunny fight back, and after a great start, the Pittsburgh Knights return this one. And now they're fighting from the point with a chance to win.
60% to 27. Still a couple of ults left in this game to potentially come through. Hexafire could be big. But you got to be in the right position. Rhino's going to be getting aggressive with it. He's going to be going on to the objective. He's not popped it just yet.
Oh, he might have needed to use it there, but Joels came to his rescue. Ricotta slides in. Barrel stuff range from the Leon is not going to bode well for your life. Joel's now back on the point. 96% is where the Knights ended off. Bit of a disengage here. 72% for Kanga. One last fight in for the Knights. They don't have any ultimates. Hexafire still waits from Rhino. Could turn this one around.
It's definitely a good way to end it. He's still mounted here behind G-Bunny. G-Bunny seems to be none the wiser now. He's going to jump to the back line. He's going for Cuss.
Cuss Cutie one more time. Zarini getting absolutely melted through as well. Right around the corner is a half-health Khan. And Evil Eye sees to it that he's dead. The Kanga Esports lineup ripping through the Knights. Game number 5 is going to come to a close. Kanga Esports are going to grab the win.
So the moral of the story is,
don't
in
go
this
up 3-0.
set, yeah, don't go up 3-0. Don't win as hard as you can early on. It falls apart. And it was very weird. I don't get this feeling a lot in games.
Yeah.
But it felt like that one moment where Knights, where we were so sure they were going in and Kanga held, it genuinely felt like right afterward, I was like, oh, this game's done, but not for them. Like, this is going to take us 5 more minutes, but Kanga are going to win this. Like, it felt like a window closing on them. And well,
the moment I said, and they could win the game, and then
they didn't.
They lost the game, and the poor Knights, they lose 4 straight points. That is tough. You go up 3-0. A little bit of a return the favor, though, from Kanga. Kanga going up 3 points on Stone Keep. Knights winning 4 straight points. Kanga with set to win. Still got to break through that ceiling. They were 3-1 for 3 straight games yesterday, unable to close it out. Let's see if they can do it one more time right after this.
Respawn, the official gaming chair of the Paladins Premier League.
Welcome back, guys. Serpent Beach in the books, and it was Kanga that actually ended up coming out on top there. PK led with a 3-1, and then eventually Kanga slowly caught things back up until they eventually ended up winning it. Now we're at 3-2. We're going to have to see if Kanga can close things out this game.
Yeah, that double off tank started pretty good from the Knights. We saw how aggressive they were on that first mid, crossing so much distance, finding all the picks that they needed. But in the end, they just got torn apart, I think, by the sustain and the damage boost that Kanga had. They were able to just kite back, bully them because they didn't have the sustain to last, and then repush right after.
Yeah, I mean, we're taking a look at the post-game stats, of course. To get more of the story here, we're going to see right now 101,000 for Ricotta. Of course, that's always good, but Krone, 78,938, 89,000 for Joel's, 32 for Gara, but the healing is what matters, of course. We see that he tops healed over Cuss in this case. Evil Eye, 82,000, and Rhino added a nice 77K.
And Joel's top damaging for his team, I think, tells how important his ability to sustain and kite away was. Looking at the slash lines, I mean, some positivity on Knights. I mean, both DPS is able to do what they needed to, but across the board on Kanga, I felt like every time they tried to get aggressive, they just got torn apart by Rhino. I mean, him being on this high ground, this used to be one of the most annoying things, at least for me as a point tank. Anytime the enemy team would get Ruckus on this map, I'm just like, here we go.
Yeah,
I know what's going to happen. And this was Rhino reminding everybody what happens when you play against Ruckus on this map. Just being able to go on the high ground. All of his Hexafires were connecting, I think, really, really effectively. And that's not super normal, I would say, for a Ruckus, at least at this level. Hexafire, it's so hard to get yourself into the right position without getting noticed. And Rhino, I felt, always towed that line every time.
It was such a beautiful Hexafire on point there to be able to clean up everyone, of course, around him and around the team to make sure they actually were able to capture that point, which, of course, is really good. You brought up the fact Ruckus being brought in on this map, clearly a force to be reckoned with. But we're going to take a look at the maps and see where we are going for Game 6. What is in store for us? It is Brightmarsh.
Yep.
Cool.
Like I said before, right after the Serpent Beach was picked, Brightmarsh, Jaguar Falls, it's all still up. And that's really standard. Well, what is left after this? If we do go to Game 7, it's Kanga, so we might. There's Jag, there's Ascension, Timber Mill still up, so a lot of different options here. Add this to my little list of what's been picked so far, and I wonder if the Knights are going to ban Strix again. On Brightmarsh, we know that Kanga played it yesterday, but do the Knights consider it enough of a threat on a map where it's not really that standard?
Yeah. I mean, we saw Ninu be able to pull it off on Not As Sincere yesterday when they were on Brightmarsh. He was able to do pretty well with it, but at the same time, I'm still just like not entirely, me personally, I'm still not entirely a believer of Strix on Brightmarsh. I think there's too many places where he could just die. You have to be on all of your P's and Q's in this case, and I mean, you have to really, really be able to.
Doesn't that mean peace and quiet?
Depends on the saying. Depends on the saying.
What's the other saying?
When somebody says that you're on your P's and Q's, it just means that you're on point.
Oh, okay. I've just never heard that before. I'm like, did you just get that from Cuss's interview?
No,
like,
no,
did you know what it meant?
No, yeah. I guess what I should have said is when they got to make sure they have all their I's dotted and all their T's crossed. I guess that's what I.
That makes it makes a lot of sense now that I'm thinking about it. But there was just a moment where I'm like,
no,
peace and quiet. That's out
English
there.
language, easy clap.
Willow and Maeve are going to be the flex bans for Knights and Kanga here. Not too surprising, I think, on this map, and this might be another way to kind of bait Knights into that Eevee early pick, but they don't want to go for it this time. Khan going to be the first lock. Overpower, very impactful. Execution is really too good to be ignored, I would say, on that Overpower. Also, since it's flatter, Khan kind of has a easier time sustaining. He doesn't have to worry as much about getting shot from above like Rhino was doing to Zarini all of last game.
Well, I mean, of course, if Kanga do opt to go to pick Ruckus again, he's going to be on the lid, so maybe he will feel a little bit of what was happening before, especially depending on if they have that point tank or not. Khan, of course, is still the first pick for Knights here. Kanga, considering their options, they've gotten rid of the Maeve, Knights have gotten rid of the Willow. They're going to opt to go for Eevee in this case. Take that away from Simsy. You get rid of one of the flanks it is that he's good on. You take the other. Barrick, in this case, is also going to be the second and third pick for him. Barrick, Eevee, second and third pick. So, yeah, I mean, it's already looking pretty good for Kang. I mean, I can't say they shut down Simsy, but they've limited his pool.
Well, they've limited the ability for Simsy to have, like, pop-off potential.
Right.
With Willow, Eevee, Maeve all gone, they're going to have to go to, like, a Drogo's, a Bomb King. I mean, Simsy can play some of the backlines, too.
Oh, right.
Cassie coming out, and Knights kind of have to take a Nara here. I feel like if they give Kanga and Nara Barrick and they end up with Con Ash again after it did okay, but not great, I think they almost kind of got forced into this Inara pick by Kanga picking Barrick as early as they did. Cassie, having that off the board for the Inara Khan is going to be pretty strong too. We know how powerful Cassie can be against those two tanks. Big game, being able to shred the shield on Khan, can do a lot. Kanga can go for Furia, gives him a lot of aggressive potential with the EV, and wouldn't you know it, Strix is on the board. Chronix is going to play him.
Furia, Strix are going to be the characters that they decide to lock on Kanga's side. In this case.
breath.
Strix already looking pretty good on Chronix. They're going to make sure that he is as comfortable as possible in this game. Brad Marsh, once again, of course, if I said I wasn't a believer before, if anyone's going to make me believe it, it is Chronix. He's had top damage. He's topped it every single time. This entire set, they've given it to him. So, Cronny, I believe in you, man. Maldamba on the side of Knights. Of course, they're going to be picking their last DPS in this case.
I want to see what it's going to be. It's going to have to be the Blaster. Strix is on the board, so that is a strong hit scan presence to make things a little harder for the Drogos if that is where they decide to go.
BK?
Wouldn't be too shocked to see a BK, even maybe like a Tyra. That could be an interesting choice. Looks like I'm actually going to drop the Damba for the Grover instead for full team sustain. Even like a backline assault rifle character wouldn't be too weird, but they're going to pick up the BK for Simsi. Able to pressure apartments pretty strong. Also nice to get that out of the hands to potentially counter the Khan if Kanga did end up with triple DPS. Although I honestly don't know who would play what if that's how they ended up. So probably better off this way. If they don't go for that. BK's going to be pretty strong for Simsi. Going through the windows, pretty good at cleaving damage onto the point. King Bomb on a map that has a lot of corners. It can be pretty effective. Go straight through. You can poppy onto the lid and then roll down and blow up in their choke.
Right.
Gotta say though, and I know it's just because of how the meta is right now with Strix and Eevee and these characters being very popular, but the Knights team is like the team you get against you in your casual, and you're like, oh my god, is that a 5-stack?
Yeah.
And Kanga is my team where it's like, oh my god, I got the Strix one trick again on my side.
If someone could clip that, because that's actually the most beautiful analogy.
But the thing is, I would still right now give the edge to Kanga.
No, it's
even
entirely
with that
true.
joke,
No.
it's just how the teams ended up looking.
No, you are entirely right with that. That makes a lot of sense, and of course, they're going to go for the Ruckus this time around. I brought it up earlier in the set. We see that Ruckus, of course, is going to be able to stand up on that lid. He's going to be able to deal with the Khan, so on and so forth. Deal with the Khan, deal with the Bomb King. Of course, be able to shut those guys down, of course, when they're going around on the flanks. At least that's what I assume that Ruckus is going to end up doing in this case. Looking for a last pick on him. So, if they're going to pick the Ruckus, who's do you like better? Who's team in this case?
I honestly don't know what they could play instead. I mean, I guess, Ashe is still open, actually. They could have played Ashe instead, but they're going to be running the Ruckus. That's mostly to get onto the backlines, like the Cassie and Grover. It really depends on where Knight's position. I think if they play more tree side, more like behind the point, the Ruckus is going to have a bit of a more free time, but I think Knights will recognize that. I think they'll be able to play on the apartment side, and we might end up going to a Game 7 if they play properly around their Cassie Grover.
I mean, if they're careful enough, of course, we see the Grover. He has that death ball composition sort of play style. You can all group up together. You can sort of move from one point to the next because Grover is all keeping you guys alive in this case. It's going to be a little bit harder when he gets that caught, when people start getting that caught too online, those caught threes. It's going to be harder for him. That much is for sure. But you got the BK, the Inara, you got the sustainability. I like it a lot. We're already at Game 6. Can Kanga close this one out, guys?
Well, I hope they can for their mentality's sake, because after tossing a 3-1 lead out the window yesterday, this is an important one for them to seal up. I would not be surprised to see this go to a Game 7. I really do like the draft that the Knights have picked up here. Cassie and Bomb King, I think, at least have the potential, Gore, to take us one more game.
It definitely, I mean, potential might even be understating it. Bomb King on this map, if it goes right, just runs through people. Big game will be, I think, important to help deal with this Ruckus. And that's another big kind of moment, not just a big game for Cassie to be able to counter out this Ruckus. It's going to be good for Ricotta, depending on the performance we get. Again, we've kind of mentioned quiet game, quiet set today. He's had his name mentioned a little bit more in the last few games, last 2 or 3, than he did initially. Simsaloo, it's been a while, but I love his Bomb King.
I'll take a Poppy Bomb in for 2 kills. Sure, Ricotta gets the second. Simsaloo does end up finding his own double onto Rhino. Take it as you like. Pittsburgh Knights, 2 kills to start this one off. They do lose Cuss Cutie, so a little bit of less sustain for them. Joel's is actually able to find the kill onto Simsaloo because of it. 63% though for the Knights. Serini taking up point tanking position. He's going to elect to peel back. They realize they have enough of a lead. They can maybe fight one more time and seal up the first point.
They're still kind of hovering around the side. Kanga going to be able to get a little bit on the point there, only 12% as they pick it up for a couple of ticks. They are a lot more cautious this time around now that they know that Simsalou has no fear and will dive into the back line. Very good positioning from him, and also kind of a dangerous area to play in. Good bombs on the point could open up a lot, but he wasn't paying attention, did not catch that rotation initially, and that should have 100% been Rhino getting a kill.
And you know, he helped set up Evil Eye, but Ricotta tumbled in to save the day. Chronix on the back line, catches a couple. Wow. Whirlwind crosses that one right off. Good start for the Knights. Evil Eye looking to turn this one around. Overtime begins for them, as well as in Flame for Kanga. That might turn it around, but the damage is too heavy. Pittsburgh Knights starting to rip through the Kanga Esports lineup. Rhino stunned up by Grumpy Bomb. Overtime is gonna melt down, and Pittsburgh Knights find themselves on the board first.
Overpower charged up, Seismic Crash charged up, and well, shortly behind is gonna be the King Bomb. Take one, and that can end the round here. I don't expect to see them both come through. Well, unless they use it this early on. Now he has 2 minutes to charge that thing back up, and well, looking at the timer, he's spent 2 minutes charging that thing up, so he absolutely has it in his capabilities to be able to get it. Damage is on the side of Kanga. It's just really good point fights, really good kills. Effective kills, I guess is the best way to word it, from the Knights. That seal the deal on that one. I mean, Simsalou going as aggressive as he did early on gave them so much percentage on that point.
This is looking like a good fight for Kanga. We see top damage. Let's look at healing. See how much that has been counteracted. There you go. 45,000 for Cuss Cutie. Half of that is Gara for Kanga. So that's a pretty telling statement right there. And that's just the nature of Grover, of course. But you might have the top 4 damage dealers in the game, but we're out healing you by double.
That more than covers it at the end of the day. That absolutely will make up for any of it. I mean, there's been a lot of good moments from Evil Eye. Blinky in, being able to kind of maybe isolate a kill. Find one, find two, keep things locked down, but that healing from Grover, that Whirlwind specifically was perfect from Cuss. And it's going to be coming through. And that's another one. I mean, we've been talking a lot about 3-0s as the King Bomb comes through to cause a lot of trouble.
Good thought.
There for Rhino. But it really does come down. That's a double.
Oh my God.
That was clean from Sidney. That was just a clean sequence and a full team wipe.
Well, we're used to seeing him Maeve, Evie, Willow.
It's been what, 2 years, maybe longer, not longer. It's probably been this year, but months since I've seen him play Bomb King.
It's been what, 2 weeks since you looked at me? 1 week. Oh, I messed it up. Oh no. I tee myself up and I can't even do it properly.
Ladies are, well, they're not rolling over in their grave because they're not dead, but they're very sad.
I looked at you, Gore, and you left me out hanging.
I had no idea where you were going with this.
Probably for good reason. I mess up. Where the Pittsburgh Knights are going, though, is into the point, up 2-0. Yeah, great calls by us. In the meantime, the Pittsburgh Knights sweeping through. It's probably 1 week. All right.
It's the name of the song, Dave. It's 1 week.
All right. Headset off, Gore. You're solo casting the rest of this game.
It's such a catchy song, too.
Yeah, man. You're casting the rest of this one alone. See you guys.
Well, I'll go ahead and talk about what I was going to say about it was, even though it's been a little while since we've seen, there's one you might know. It's been a while. Either way. Rolling it back.
We're reeling it back in here. All right.
Since we have seen Simsalou play this Bomb King, and we've been talking a lot about the 3-0s being pretty deadly, potentially, for the Knights. And it was specifically when I zoned in on Cuss that became an issue, because 3-0 is great. If you do not convert this fast enough, then Cauterize starts to hurt Grover pretty badly. Whirlwind is really, really nice, really, really ineffective against Cauterize 3. So Kanga have more than enough reason to rush them.
And now's the time for them to rush this fight with Inflame burning away. A great start, double kill for Evil Eye, showing some life here in this game as Cuss Cutie has grabbed all of the headlines for the Blasters. 50% fast cap for Kanga, able to zone out. Seismic Crash locks up Rhino. Zarini just trying to fight back in, 74%. Good stun, delays him out. Might just be in range to get a touch. 97% gets cleaned up by the Hexafire. No way, 1 point for Kanga.
Well, I'm pretty sure his Ragdoll was able to touch, but you know, those don't count. Either way, it's been a good game from Rhino. Good last game from Rhino on this Ruckus. And now he's being able to kind of carry that momentum forward. It's working out really well. Chronix Finding a good snipe back there on the Simsaloo as well. These are the crucial details that can potentially skyrocket Kanga going forward. No Whirlwind used. There wasn't really a good opportunity for some of these ults on the Knights to be used. Some of them didn't hit. Overpower not going to connect either. This is kind of falling more of the chips more and more on Kanga's side and in their favor.
And you don't have any room to play with if you're the Knights here. If Kanga are able to do the 2-0 reversal, you're out of this set. You're leaving this week 0 for 2. Evil Eye, 5 streak for him at 7-3 and 5 has started to make his impact on this one. Net worth, there's a good chart to look at. Top for Cuss Cutie, getting the value out of those Whirlwinds. Healing not only is an impact on your team, speak of the Devil, Whirlwind tosses up here. Kanga Esports backed themselves off. Those Pittsburgh Knights get nice and healed. One more go. And, looking for one more aggression here is Kanga. Some good ultimates to maybe push this one in.
I mean, Inflame with a Dome Shield, forget about it. This is done. That's exactly what you need to be able to go forward with it, right? I mean, that is every game ending with these two champions on there, and the ideal world is going to have those go through. It's that kind of questioning moment. Tying it up for a 2-2, how much do you want to use? They'd ideally use nothing. Getting G-Bunny without having to pop the vault. Getting Zarini here without having to pop an ult makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, they're looking good right now. They're going to have to just toss bodies down, Simsaloo being one of them. Simsaloo being the last of them. And they go up 1 point cap and a push away from breaking that Game 3 curse and looking to take the set here against the Knights.
And this is where 2-2. It's the most interesting you can have it in-game. Both teams are capable of winning right here. All it takes is maybe one lapse of judgment, one bad team fight, one missed opportunity. And right now, I think the one that maybe is screaming out loud is...
Oh, no. Look at the damn...
looking at it. Oh,
no.
You said that, and I'm like looking through. I'm like, okay, red, 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 blue. That's not him. Red, red. Anara.
3,
Grover.
2, 1.
Han.
Even G-Bunny. I mean, oh, no.
Everybody is over Simsaloo right now. 6-6, and I think I saw 10 there for his assists. He's got Wrecker coming through, kind of surprisingly, over the Cauterize. Not something we've seen too often, although it's been a lot more lately. Does help deal with it, but maybe not the call as of right now.
Well, Overpower connects. But actually only sets up G-Bunny for too much attention from Kanga. Dome Shield outside of the point here. Deep in the back line is Guerra right now, and the rest of his team is going to try to zone that one out. Zarini calls him on it. He's going to trade out his life, a risk he knew he was taking. Rhino in a spot now. He realizes Hexify around the corner could make a difference. Rakata as well, moving forward with the rest of his team. Nobody on the point just yet. Dodge roll backwards. Jules just touches a toe onto the point. Forced back. All grouped up kind of around this back tree side.
They've only used the Overpower so far as well. I mean, King Bomb is absolutely perfect for clearing out an objective. Same thing for Seismic Crash. Both of those, either in tandem or one then the other, will be able to stop this. And that's going to be the King Bomb kind of popping down onto Joel. It's not going to be enough to get the kill though.
It's a good Whirlwind as well. Simsaloo might not be doing the most damage, but he's certainly doing a good bit of killing. That's another one for his category. He started to bounce up a little bit, at least above his healer now, but Cuss Cutie getting some kills as well is going to try to tilt things back in his favor. This is reminiscent of the first point fight where Simsaloo just gets aggressive. Poppy Bomb up to the high ground, trying to zone out now. That's all she wrote for point number 3. Pittsburgh Knights with a chance to push and tie up this set one more time.
All we've seen so far, this map has been cap and conversion, so I expect to see maybe some good effort from Kanga to try and find the defense here. It's definitely odds against them, I guess, in this case. They do, again, still have the tools in their arsenal to absolutely make this work for them. Immediate aggression onto this, causing a lot of trouble. Zarini's incredibly low. Even if you're just buying time, you can stall for 2.5 minutes.
Rhino has a great angle here, pouring damage in behind the Knights. Evil Eye with a double kill, makes good on it. Chronix does the same with a double of his own. Strix, 12 streak for him. Chronix like fired out of the gate today on this Strix. Not that he's doing poorly right now, he's certainly doing well. He hasn't had that same on-fire performance per se as he did in the first couple games today.
couple of players kind of, I want to say leveling out, I guess.
That's a high pace to keep, though.
Yeah.
It's not realistic to expect that from in a 6-game set to happen every single game.
And, well, I mean, considering it's been 6 games, has he played Strix every single game?
They banned it once.
Okay, it was banned once. It's just like, I'm looking back on it, I'm like, I don't remember when he wasn't Strix.
He has played it every game except one where they banned it.
That is good for him as he comes
Top
through.
damage,
Still top
so.
damage, yeah. I mean, he's been knocking it out of the park with what he's been playing. But now, Knights should be back on the payload. There, finally, someone's going to be able to touch down. They get aggressive, they get a good zone.
Yep.
So it's going to be moving. And with that kill onto Rhino, they should be able to come around at least one more corner.
King Bomb, they're starting to sell out to try to end this game. Chronix gets absolutely deleted. Rakata throws out some damage as well. Simsaloo prances backwards to help Cuscutie kill Evil Eye. Rhino back on the respawn. A couple members of Kanga. They're going to have one more chance to drop down into this one. Whirlwind. Seismic crash for the Knights. Kanga Esports, everything but the Inflame. They might have to use it here to prevent this game from being over. Rhino maybe in a good spot for the Hexafire into the ice block. Whirlwind used now from the Knights. Rhino getting aggressive, not able to get the kill onto Simsaloo. G-Bunny comes back to help him stay alive. A Chronix finally around the back end. Perfect spot for a Strix. Nice shot, double kill. Might just seal up this defense.
All they need, they get rid of Zarini, and this becomes a lot easier. That's going to be the kill. I think that can help seal the deal. G-Bunny goes down shortly thereafter, so it's not that big of a deal. And there were so many things that could happen there. The one thing I want to look at when we come back into it after we see the highlights from the round, specifically seeing what Rakata has been able to kind of knock out. I want to know what exactly Simsaloo's running in his loadout. It looks like he had some reload speed built up in one of his cards, and those moments, like that card specifically, is one of my favorite to run on Bomb King. Personally, just because it feels good to get your bombs out as fast as possible, as much as possible. And when you can back up your Cassie and let her do that, definitely opens the door. So being able to look at it, yeah, there, Royal Decree 4 here. Reload speed 20% for 3 seconds after using Detonate. So assuming he's kind of popping them the way you tend to throw out your bombs. Throw one, pop it, 60 from your King's Court.
Yep.
You're, at a nice 2450 thanks to King's new cloak. And then if you need to, you can reload, and it is very, very speedy.
Yep.
In terms of what you expect. Also with 7 bombs here instead of the 6, kind of keeps him going. Gives him that one extra shot.
Yep. Little extra sustain in that kit. G-Bunny and Zarini opening kills. Both of the frontliners getting kills onto both of the Kanga frontliners, catching deaths. Good overpower from G-Bunny. Onto Gara as well. No front line, no healing. Pittsburgh Knights zoning out now for the win to push this one to a game 7. Cuscutie back on the point. Evil Eye able to escape. Into the flight he goes. Defense now set for the Knights as Kanga try to re-engage.
That's really good disengage kind of shot coming down onto Joel's just to cause him distress as he rounds the corner. I mean, it's 75-3 right now on the mid, so they're going to have to rush anything and everything to get in there and stop this from just converting.
Good shots from Chronix help turn this one around. A better Hexafire. Spells double for Rhino. In a clean sweep. Inflame burns true. Kanga Esports retake, and now they have a chance not only to win the game, but to win this set. Pittsburgh Knights have themselves Whirlwind, and they have a King Bomb and a Seismic Crash.
That's going to be the big 3 coming through. If Simsy can get into a good position to find a good King Bomb, even if he loses his life for it, it will absolutely seal the deal. There's going to be the Seismic Crash. There's going to be the Whirlwind. They're keeping him healed up as he rolls on in.
Here he comes. Stuns up Joel's. King Bomb connects, but the damage isn't quite there. Joel's down to the right. Has no health left. Cuscutie. Big double kill here. May have just pushed us to a game 7, and he certainly did that.
I mean, Kanga in 7-game sets. Name a better
combo.
combo.
No.
They come here. They beat NIP 7 games. Yesterday, of course, the most memorable one that came through is the fact that they lost after 3-1 scoreline up on SSG. Now it's 3-3. Either team can kind of juggle it. The best thing is the ball's in their court. They get to choose the map.
Yes.
And so that will affect a little bit. Maybe somewhere that's kind of a slippery slope for the Knights could give them an advantage.
Ice Mines? That's a slippery
I can't remember
slope.
the bands, I'll be honest. It's been so long.
Yeah, well, early 2000s jams notwithstanding, Bright Marsh was explosive. Another example of just how back and forth this has been. You get some sets where it's point cap defense effectively every time.
Yeah.
This one has kind of been flipped where it's been all offense pretty much all day, and whichever team kind of wins the mid-fights tends to dictate the end.
It's been a lot of like aggression-based drafting, aggression-based play, and at the end of the day, sometimes it's Simsalai and Evil Eye, or Simsaloo and Evil Eye, whichever one kind of finds that step forward, whichever one maybe makes the bigger stride. Granted, if you can ignore Chronix and Ricotta for just a little bit, that will usually determine some of the fights.
Well, there's only one more stride to take. We're headed to a Game 7 right after this.
SteelSeries, the official peripheral provider of the Paladins Premier League.
I did it. I called it earlier, said it in Mixer Chat, said it behind in broadcast. We're at a Game 7. PK versus Kanga already. Pittsburgh Knights managing to clutch that one out on Bright Marsh. They were able to do what they could. Kanga at first, they had a really, really good lead. Now that they've allowed sort of PK to catch back up, we're at a 3-3. The stakes are as high as ever to see who's going to be able to take the set, Kresnik.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, great comeback there in the end by the Knights. You were right in Kanga having that lead and just not able to really snowball it the way they wanted to, I think, with their draft, not able to get the maximum value out of what they ended up with. Rhino, I think, had a great play there at the very end coming with the Hexafire, but he was kind of quiet the rest of the set. And even just looking at the stats, Kanga got what they needed there, but the objective control from the Knights, Grover and Arakan sustain, was just too much to overcome.
Yeah, Chronix, once again, top damaging in the entire game. Every single time they give him the Strix. Evil Eye, second most to him, of course, but 73,000 damage and 76,000 damage for Simsaloo and Ricotta. The Grover healing was literally double of what Gara had, 206,000 for him. Cuss, most credits in the game, 13, 7, and 14, 7, 7, and 17 for Zarini. G-Bunny, of course, 10, 10, and 18.
Yeah, and Bunny was getting a lot of confirms there. And that Grover healing, not too surprising. I mean, Grover is constantly outputting healing. It's really tough for the rest of the team to show up. And this is kind of like almost what happened in yesterday's set between SSG and Kanga. As the games are going on, the tanks for Kanga kind of starting to struggle. 7 and 12, 7 and 12. Definitely better than their performances earlier, but rough for them. On the side of the Knights, though, Ricotta able to kind of play Cassie into that ruckus, a counterplay that Kanga's been pretty good at avoiding throughout this set, but finally, once that counter matchup is there, it was really tough for him to do very much into him at all.
Yeah, I mean, 13 and 7. Of course, Ricotta, you give him the Cassie, you give him one of his comfort picks. I said it before because of the fact that literally, here's the thing. They had him all the way up at the top. They locked in the Eevee. Well, they didn't lock in the Eevee. They actually took the Eevee away from them in this case. It's okay. Really? All right. That's when the music was on.
I thought that was right now, and I immediately panicked, looked at the camera.
No, that
I was like, oh, God.
All right, okay. So is that what we're doing? Are you showing my sick dance moves? Okay, all right. Here we go. Game 7. As I was saying before, I forgot what I was going to say. Chris, take this away. Just about Ricotta, by the way.
The Cassie pick ended up being really valuable for them. They took it away to counter the Inara. That was initially what it was. Having that not on the field made it a lot easier for sure for the tanks to do what they needed. And it really did tear Rhino apart. He had that great play at the end, like I said earlier, but just too tough for him to stay as aggressive as he wanted to. They couldn't really punish the backline at all. There's only 4 maps left, if my math is right, which it might not be. But the only maps that I have written down here that are left, we have Timber, we have Jaguar Falls, we have Ascension, and we have Shattered Desert.
I think it's going to be Jag, personally.
Well, yeah, of course, that's the easy pick, right? It could still be Ascension.
But,
we could
I mean,
still
it
see
makes
the
sense.
contesting on the point, and it is Ascension.
Okay. All
Having
right.
that wider point.
Dinner's on me then.
Potentially longer fights. So if Kanga thinks they can win out as the set goes long, it could work for them. It could be a good option for them. And immediately banning Maeve, saying that they don't want flanks to be as much of a worry for them. I wouldn't even be shocked to see them pick Eevee early after that ban.
Yeah, Maeve obviously being the first ban here in this case. In response to that, we have the Willow. Of course, Simsy going back to his original statement of following up of permanently ban Willow in this case. And for the last game, they definitely want to make sure that they don't have to deal with her. Map pick in this case, Ascension Peak. So, I mean, we're really going to have to see. Of course, probably Kanga and Knights are going to get rid of Makoa and Atlas, respectively.
Yeah, expect that follow-up for sure. Eevee first pick could be on the cards. It is Kanga, and Strix is unbanned, so maybe they'll just pick Strix before we even get to 20 seconds.
Yeah.
For all we know at this point with how effective it's been for them so far. And I could not have called that to the second any more than I already did.
Come on, man. It's the Strix once again. I mean, I understand. There are a lot of bans that you have to go through in the game. There's a lot of stuff, and we've harped on the Strix a lot, but more specifically me. But the reason why is because literally he is top damaging every single game. I mean,
he's figuratively doing it too.
Yeah, he is. I mean, yeah, in more than one ways. He's literally doing top mental damage to PK as well. That's the figurative moment. Strix being locked in again, first pick for Kanga, man. I mean, every time they give it to Chronix, win or lose, he's always being a threat to the Knights. His positioning is just so good. They lock that in first, and Knights are going to have to find some sort of way to deal with him and lock him down this game.
And they've had it before, but they need to find a way to do it again. They have to find a way to carry that draft in forward. And I wouldn't be shocked to see an Ashe coming out. I think pretty effective, crossing a lot of distance to get onto Chronix there in the back line. Genos potentially to pair with him. If they go Khan, I'd actually be kind of surprised, but they're actually going to go Barrack instead. So they want to focus on the point control, take that away from Joel's, because they've kind of been going for Barrack all game, Kanga has. They've been prioritizing it really early to supplement the damage on their team. The more people are low, the more they have to back up, the more they're going to get one shot by Chronix instead of two shot.
Joel's is a really good Barrack as well. I mean, he was doing so much and setting up so much for his team earlier on Warder's Gate, on some of these other maps. He was getting these double kills, he's getting these triple kills, and that's the point, is that he's getting the picks that you would expect the DPS to be having. He's having the performance of a DPS on a frontliner like Barrack with that damage. He's sneaking up on so many other people, and of course it's a threat, especially to the Knights. So that's why they go for the Barrack. That's why they go for the Genos. Eevee Khan, in response to that, of course, Khan, always a strong pick in the off-tank role.
Great start to the draft by Kanga, I think. They have the same DPSs as the last game, which they lost, but it's a very different map. Much more open. Mobility really does matter, so having that Eevee and not giving the enemy team a flanker is a pretty big deal.
Get us out of here alive.
Ashe and Cassie followed it up by the Knights, kind of being forced to play Ashe into the kind of hard counter, I would say, in Khan. If the Khan can be aggressive enough with the Eevee, this Ashe is going to have a really rough time, I feel. Not going to be able to land assert dominances, not going to be able to dash away. Kind of going to potentially be rough, and I would say maybe, what's going to be an RF? Nara Io. Again, another thing. So this point control for Kanga is going to be very difficult for the Knights to break.
Yeah, especially on Ascension Peak. Like we mentioned it a little bit before about how you can position Luna around those statues. That's so important, especially when you need to be able to position yourself well as a support. You really let Luna deal with the point capture. You're able to focus more so on those tanks to be able to try and heal that back up. And we've seen it before as well, where Kanga will just drop Luna directly on the point. And of course, this is how it is that I personally believe you should play her. Drop her on the point, and they just run at you. That's so hard to deal with. And it can be kind of jarring too, of course. But Kanga, they're sticking to the IO. They're sticking to the Strix. I mean, I really like the comp it is they have, because IO's worked out well for them.
Yeah, they have a fantastic comp for this map, and it's going to be tough for Simsy to play any of his comfort champions here. A lot of it kind of off the table. They might go to they will go back to the BK. After last game, it did get them a win. It was struggling at the start of that game. I mean, it was bottom damaging on the board, but he was still getting kills. He was still cleaning up fights for them. BK might be difficult to pull off on this map, much bigger, but Sims, if anyone could do it, it would be Simsloop. Been a star player across time. We've seen him pop off tremendously on Bomb King, at least at MSI at the start. We'll have to see how we can make it work here.
Yeah, I mean, both comps are looking really, really good. I'm just a huge fan of Kanga's because of the fact that they've constantly been able to incorporate the IO into a strategy that actually works. Which ones do you like better for this final game?
Kanga for sure. I mean, the point presence is going to be so strong, so hard to deal with. It's going to be kind of on the back of the DPSs to break through the tank line because it's so powerful on Kanga.
Here we go, guys. Game 7. This is it on Ascension Peak. But first, we got to show off your beautiful casters in the caster booth.
Oh, stop it, Fawn. Gormizer certainly. Yeah, what the? They just walked out the door.
Yeah,
they're gone. Sorry, you guys got us here for Game 7 between Kanga and the Pittsburgh Knights. And what a set it's been. No throwing to be had here. I mean, whichever team wins, Evil Eye's looking for the beautiful caster. G-Bunny looking to curl his way to victory here as well. It's been a set of, I'm in the lead. Okay, that means you're going to win the game. Unfortunately, this time around, it's detrimental set-wise. Whoever throws this one, they're going home empty-handed.
I'll tell you, an MLB pitcher would be jealous of this set so far. They throw real well. But a lot of this is going to come down to IO.
Gore is slinging heat, baby.
How much she can do. And this Bomb King. It's been a long time, I feel like, since I've seen Bomb King on this map.
Well, Simsalou, at least for a time, was bottom damaging for the Knights. He's going to get a second chance. He did, granted, end up a little bit higher up damage-wise. This time around, though, looking for a breakout performance to help his team forward. Kanga on the point first, 33%. A third of the way there. Throwing out some good bombs. Simsalou caught out just a little bit. Not enough sustain. First blood over to Kanga.
Being able to get aggressive. Evil Eye in a good position as well. Good blink up, good blink back. Like, it's just the right amount of aggression on the corner there to force pretty much everyone on the Knights away. Potentially find himself a kill. I mean, this is
no,
81%.
don't cap it.
I don't think anybody can touch it.
Don't cap it, Kanga. You gotta let the Knights win the first couple of points. All right.
To win the set, we have to lose the map.
No, I mean, you gotta go
to win the
down.
Map, we have to lose the map.
You gotta go down 2-0, and then you're in a great spot to win. Against better judgment, Kanga strike first on the board with 1. In a game, or in a set rather, where seemingly every push has been successful. Evil Eye starts off Kanga to continue that trend here. That's a nice double poppy bomb there, sends a couple back from Kanga. Now getting aggressive is Rhino up onto the high ground. Simsalou starting to tee off. Poppy bombs himself to death, I think, in that case. At any rate, he's staggered out. 5 seconds left before he gets another chance at this one. Payload is not stalled out, not even a bit.
It's coming up on the archway, though, which should theoretically slow it down a little bit. They let IO kind of maybe do most of the work. A little bit of Luna, a little bit of IO tag team to pick up who's going to be able to burst it through. And already it's hitting some snags, but their full health, their damage reduction out of their mind. Well, with Chronic's gone, it might slow things down, but they're still moving forward.
He was at least able to get 1 before falling. Kanga's still storming the gates here. Rhino with a kill on Simsalou. Now Zarini's forced to throw up the shield. Try to fight back behind it. Void Grip lifts up a Nara here. Rhino another kill. Onto Zarini. Frontliner starting to do the thing. Down goes Ash. G-Bunny and Zarini both dead. Frontliners not alive to contest. Backliners not too good at doing it either. Kanga go up 2-0.
So how does it make you feel to know the Knights are going to win this set?
Hope you got the interview questions ready for the Pittsburgh Knights.
Yeah, that is the hard part. That's the unseen portion is, man, what do we ask?
Well, Simsalou at 0-4. Simsy, after starting 0-4 on Ascension Peak, how'd you turn it around with 16 straight kills to win the game?
With 16 straight kills. 4 straight points. We'll see what they're able to do. A lot of 3-0s, though, that have kind of been the turnaround. Like, if you get up 3, can't cap this next point, then there's a defense, then it turns around as they maybe figure out their draft a little more. I mean, the pressure's on now for the Knights, though.
Yep.
3-3. Kanga notoriously dodged winning Game 7, so we'll have to see how this one shakes out. But very good aggression last time. This time you can see maybe a little more patience. They're just hanging back.
And ultimates look good for them as well. No seismic crash, no ice storm. Free time and space, cuts Cutie. No connection. Was close. Ricotta, though, finds first blood onto Guerra at that. G-Bunny as well, fighting back into it. Kill onto Rhino. This is going to be an overwhelming fight for the Pittsburgh Knights. Everyone getting in on the kill feed. Kanga Esports now forced back. Pittsburgh Knights with fast cap, looking to zone out. Grab themselves point number 1. 6-1 for Rhino. First death coming just now. 1-4 for Simsy, 1-4 for G-Bunny, 3-1 for Ricotta. Retake attempt is on into the ice block. Evil Eye drops down, absolutely exploded. Point 1 to the Knights.
From 0-4-0 to 2-4-1, the Simsaloo story.
14 away.
He's doing part of it. He's almost at another one. If he can find the right angle for that
13 away.
As he starts driving this one home. Very good positioning from him. 70% on the King Bomb as well. And there might be a little bit of Luna action going up top to cause him some distress. But I have not seen Io be as successful on defense as I've seen her as much around point fights. Mid fights really are her where she shines.
Right.
Being able to come through, it might be helpful to just say, you know what, we don't have to defend for a little bit. Let's just throw the Fox on there, let it contest, we'll back up, heal up, and come back into it. But we'll have to see how much they can keep that up, especially with moments like that. That's what you need if you are going to be Simsaloo. So it might not be 16 straight kills, but
it was 5 straight.
Still on par to maybe get 16 kills.
It was a good streak of kills there from Sims. He traded out 2 before falling. That means Pittsburgh Knights continue their offense. Esports forced back. Ricotta plugging some shots on the right-hand side. Good blink in and shot from Evil Eye. Forces back to Cassie. His right-hand wing is seemingly where Ricotta's going to try to find the fight. Evil Eye trying to mitigate as much of that as possible. 11 streak for Cuss Cutie. Good start to this defense, though, from Kanga.
Being able to find just a little bit of pushback, and now they can get aggressive. This map is big enough that you can genuinely go up and as far forward as you want, die, respawn, still be back in time to find the defense. And being able to get rid of Simsy, getting rid of Ricotta, yeah, absolutely move forward if it so pleases you, Kanga. This is a good spot to hold on to. Then they might find themselves at the daunting 3-1 scoreline.
Yep.
Which I think only once this set it was Frozen Guard that was converted into a 4-1. Otherwise, it has been flipped topsy-turvy.
Gonna look to untopsy-turvy and keep things right side up here. A good defense puts them on game and set point. Joel's killing G-Bunny is a great start to that storyline here. Simsaloo, Poppy Bomb aggressively in. Os Rhino, Chronix both dead.
Jeez.
Good stun there from the Fox. Not in range to get a touch. Kanga Esports cap, convert, and defend. And now 1 point away from taking this set over the Pittsburgh Knights, who granted had a great mid-fight in the last round.
Yeah.
So looking for more of the same here.
That was probably one of the most in-cannon stuns that you could ever see. Io's in trouble, Fox stuns the Bomb King to make sure she stays through. Otherwise, you're looking at Guerra going down there. I don't think it changes the difference. I'm not sure Simsy is in a good position to get up there and get the touch. I don't think anyone really was from the Knights. But it definitely wins them a fight, you know, very, very solidly. But 0-4-0 after the first round. 7-8-1 this time around. So 7-4-1 in the second round, which is very, very solid change. But you're over here competing with 7-3-8, 7-2 there for Joel's.
Yep.
The two tanks on Kanga putting in work to try and keep this one close.
It's a big plug shot as well from Chronix. He simply tried to move forward through time and space. It's up, it's good. Chronix gets picked off. Snipe shot from Cuss Cutie. Doesn't need the scope for that one. Zarenia double kill. And another great start from the Knights, but look at the Kanga ultimates. All 5 ready for the retake.
Well, unfortunately for them, they're going to have to get back fast. And they're in position to get dismounted. Really good shots from Ash already, starting that one off. Comeback mechanic there for the Knights. G-Bunny can die 10 times out of 10 in that scenario, and it is still good for the team.
78, 81, 85. We're gonna rely on Evil Eye to get the touch into the ice block out. Joel's is now on the point. Rhino with the first kill as well. Seismic Crash, ultimate starting to fly for Kanga. They have them all. They have the utility they need. Back onto the point. Pittsburgh Knights fold backwards. Ice Storm, be gone. Be gone could be a difference maker here to get rid of somebody from the Knights trying to touch. Said he's going to use it up aggressively onto Simsalou. Doesn't look like it connected. He's able to sidestep that one. 84% for Kanga Esports. Pittsburgh Knights, to avoid losing the set, need to get in. Find themselves a touch here in this case. Ice Storm goes down, finds the cripple. Kanga Esports fighting from the point. They're getting the kill. Simsalou, maybe the last-ditch effort here for the Knights. But a big double kill from the Eevee may have just sealed this set for Kanga.
It's been going back and forth, but that's going to be it. All they have to do is get rid of Zarini, but G-Bunny is going to be back and respawn. Might not be in a good position to touch.
Oh, he gets in! No way! This game maybe just continues on for a little bit longer, in behind the shield. Ricotta finds a kill as well. No way, Joels cleans up G-Bunny. Simsalou gets dropped off as well. Good shots. The dodge roll is in. The dodge roll is stopped. Intense moments, but Kanga Esports break that Game 7 curse.
And you have to give credit, all in all, to Khan there at the end. That dodge roll touches, that's overtime. That is potentially Ricotta still maybe finding some kills, but a really good grab to stop him and, well, cut it off where it needed to be cut off. So for one of the first times, or one of the only times, both times it was Kanga, they are able to convert that 3-1 into a 4-1 and win themselves a map. A lot of good things there for them. A lot of good things from the Knights. Both teams were able to kind of figure out their identity for it at the end. And I think at the end of the day, the IO paid off more than anything. Just letting someone be capping the point while the tanks could get aggressive for Kanga made it a different story.
And remember, this is technically a 6 versus 7 matchup standings-wise. And that almost doesn't do these two teams justice. I know Kanga are relieved to grab themselves the win today, but this is a Knights team who has found a pretty big resurgence. The roster changes have been paying off. And I think that firmly sets Kanga at least one game separate up in 6th place over the Knights. So big win for Kanga here to escape the week with at least one win. Pittsburgh Knights go 0-2 on the week. But Game 7 first set, it was a wild ride. Desk, how you guys feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good, Dave. I like the fact that Kanga actually ended up winning. We went to a Game 7, of course. It's typically not what we had ended up expecting to do, of course, in the first set of the day, because we still got at least one more. But Kanga, they managed to prove their worth today. They did extremely good. Didn't do so hot yesterday, but they surely made up for it today.
I thought they did pretty okay yesterday. They just couldn't end up closing it out in Kanga fashion, but I guess we can't say that now anymore. They finally actually converted a Game 7 into their way. Well, after the NIP one, first one in a while. Great by them, I think, by the end there. The only thing that really stopped them from snowballing that and getting that retouch there in the second mid-fight was a great void grip by Cuss. Otherwise, I felt like that game was in their control pretty much the majority of the time. The tanks doing an exceptional job, I think, around the board for Kanga. I think that's crucial to Kanga's success. When the tanks are doing well, that's how they find success throughout the games. Yeah,
78,000 damage for Ricotta, but it's the slash lines that tell the true story. Simsalou 9-10. And 1-10 for G-Bunny, 3-2-15 for Cuss, 4-4-6 for Ricotta. Zarini is 2-5, but of course, they're not the victors here. Rhino and the rest of Kanga are 9-4, 6-6, 2-1, 8-4, and 6-4. Of course, Cronny on the Strix making moves, but so was Rhino in this case.
Khan, great at finishing up kills, being able to get in with that repeater, do a ton of damage, and he was unanswered a lot of the game. Also, great ability for his team to peel for him there in the very end. He was fighting, I think, Bunny and Ricotta at the same time, and then Evil Eye comes in with an Ice Storm to keep him alive and confirm a bunch of kills. I do have to say, though, if I could give any inanimate object MVP for this game, it would actually be Luna.
I was about to say,
I don't know if anybody noticed, but Simsalou got stunned like 3 times in a row by Luna coming in for a point touch there near the very end. Can't get any Luna highlights, unfortunately. Spectator camera can't quite highlight her yet, but
single tier.
Fantastic. I think from that did a lot of pressure that showed really the benefit of Io. The damage reduction working together with the point capture, so much in her kit as teams are now finally figuring out what she can really bring. And Kanga being the first one, I wouldn't be shocked to see her going more and more as the weeks go on.
Neither would I. I mean, you already said, pretty much hit the nail right on the head in that case. Io is a character that Kanga mainly picks, and we've seen a lot of utility come out from her. She has the stun. You have that ability to be able to pocket. You have that ability to be able to really maneuver. She has surprisingly good mobility with that lunar leap. At the same time, she can offer a lot to a team. And one thing it is that she offers that literally no other support can is another presence to be able to capture that point. They picked it several times already. When you put Luna on the point, you can just run at him. Who thought that just would have worked? Who thought that aggression would be too much for teams to be able to handle?
Ying Illusion's capping point when?
When?
When, Evil Mojo?
Come on. Tell us about it, right? I wish.
I don't wish, actually. That
No,
would probably pretty much be the worst possible thing that could happen.
Imagine 2 people capping at once. 2 illusions capping at once.
That doesn't make a difference, Fawn.
Well, I mean, it's still at the same time. I mean, you have a lot of different presences on the point, so on and so forth, to be able to do so. I mean, it depends. If you're going like Damage Ying or something, Shatter could be really, really strong.
Either way, teams are finally figuring out
Correct.
the presence that Io can bring to a game. And you talked about the mobility. I also like, people are kind of getting used to the Lunar Leap now, getting used to where that backflip's going to land. I saw Gera. I think he's definitely the most comfortable person on Io, far and away. Warder's Gate earlier, perfectly flips, lands on the very edge of a high ground, kites back when someone lands on the high ground to chase him. Just knowing the distance of that mobility, it really adds a lot to how much grinding that champion is helping Kanga in the long run here.
Yeah, I mean, once again, Kanga coming out on top. They did so well. Of course, we have an interview with the victors themselves, and we're going to take a look and see what they have to say about their victory.
That's right. Appreciate it, fellas, down here with Kanga. Another Game 7 for you guys this time comes up in your favor. Gera, I want to talk to you first. Io's been a pretty popular pick for you guys over the last couple of days. Where do you see her? What situations maybe are you looking towards Io?
I mean, Io is good if you know the player. Most people don't know how to play her. That's why they don't play her. But that's it.
Easy peasy. Just easy enough as long as you know her. You can make her look good. Well, at least you make her look good. Evil Eye, you had way more champions this set than I feel like you've had in most of this year, honestly, when it comes down to it. We've seen a lot of Eevee from you. Always looks good. Your Maeve always looks good. You pulled out Xin. You pulled out Buck. What were kind of the decisions behind those champions for this one?
I just like Buck. Buck's a lot of fun. And then they didn't really have a lot of shields on the Xin game. So I was like, I'm just going to ult people all game. It sounds like fun to me. So, yeah.
And kind of conversely, looking at Chronix, I think there was a single game this set where they banned out the Strix, but effectively gave Chronix the Strix throughout the rest of the 6. Is that just because he's that good on that champion and you feel like he works on pretty much any map?
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
half carries.
Yeah, I like to be carried by Chronix.
So, I mean, yesterday, kind of a heartbreaking, like you get up, there's a 3-1 point, and then SSG pull it back. Today against the Knights, you were able to kind of keep it going. What was the big differences between the 2 sets? What kind of helped you stay resilient for this one?
Today, I felt like people reset it more after each game, while yesterday people kept that tilt in the game from game to game. That's just a bad thing. And today, I felt like people reset it more, and that's why we could finish it out instead of yesterday we just couldn't.
Well, congratulations once again on your win. 4-3 here for Kanga as you take it over. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
INAP, powering the control room for the Paladins Premier League.